Chapter 3175, Secret Skill Pavilion It shouldn't be. If the value of the universe crystal is less than a drop of divine power, Elder Shuebei would never take the universe crystal so seriously. Jian Wushuang frowned and thought to himself. Temple Master Bai Xing continued. The first floor of the temporal tower of the space-time temple is open to all the cultivators under our command, but the second floor requires divine power. A drop of divine power can allow you to stay on the second floor for a year. Of course, the year mentioned here is a year in the outside world, but in the second floor of the temporal tower, it's 100 years. As for the third floor, it's even more ridiculous. Only 10 drops of divine power can stay on the second floor for a year. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang secretly clicked his tongue. Only 1 drop of divine power could stay on the second floor for a year? As for the third floor, it required 10 drops of divine power to stay on the third floor for a year. After all, 1 drop of divine power required 10 billion holy elixirs to exchange. 10 drops, that was 100 billion holy elixirs. I can't enter the second and third floors of the temporal tower, Jian Wushuang said on the spot. Haha, you're right. For a true saint like you, the first floor is enough. There's no need to go to the second and third floors. Those 2 floors are for principals masters. Temple Master Bai Xing smiled. These principals masters are powerful, and they study secret skills or absolute arts of a high level. Naturally, they need to spend more time. Sometimes it takes tens of thousands of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, to study a secret skill absolute art. Such a long time is not too short, even for principals masters. Therefore, many people are willing to spend some divine power in this temporal tower. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. Some principals masters who were very old would not think much of it. But for some younger principals masters, it was a long time. In the outside world, such a long time could do a lot of things. Let's go, I'll take you to a place in my temporal temple. Temple Master Bai Xing brought Jian Wushuang away from the temporal tower. Soon they came to a purple pavilion. This is the secret technique pavilion of my temporal temple, which contains the secret techniques created by many experts of my temporal temple, and most of these secret techniques are targeted at the aspect of space and time. As he spoke to Jian Wushuang kept looking around. There were many special tokens floating around him. These tokens contained secret skills. There were probably thousands of them. So many secret skills are related to space-time? Jian Wushuang could not help asking. Of course, not only that. These secret skills were created by the principal's master, and are very powerful. However, the secret skills here are not complete. They are just beginner-level secret skills, Temple Master Bai Xing said. According to the rules of our temporal temple, the secret skills in the secret pavilion are open to all the cultivators under your command. However, after you choose a secret skill, you can only get the beginner-level secret skill in the beginning. After you get the beginner-level secret skill, you will have a time limit. Only when you reach the beginner level of this secret skill, within this time limit, can you prove that you have the ability and qualification to cultivate this secret skill. Then, you can get the complete secret skill. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. Although the secret skills of the secret pavilion were open to all the cultivators in the temporal temple, there was a certain level of authority which could prevent many people from blindly pursuing and cultivating more secret skills. One could not bite off more than one could chew. Secret skills were only useful if they were truly suitable for oneself. Moreover, one did not need to master too many secret skills, so there was no need to spend too much energy on them. Let's go to the third floor, Temple Master Bai Xing said. There were 3 floors in the secret skill pavilion. The first floor had the most secret skills, while the second floor had fewer secret skills. There were less than 100 secret skills, but they were obviously more powerful. And on the third floor, Jian Wushuang frowned. When he reached the third floor of the secret skill pavilion, he saw 7 black stone tablets instead of a floating special token. Each of the 7 stone tablets was extremely tall, and the word spacetime was carved in the center of each stone tablet. Temple Master Bai Xing, What are these 7 stone tablets? Jian Wushuang asked in puzzlement. This is the secret skill pavilion. The 3rd floor is the record of the most powerful secret skill of our temporal temple. Don't you know what the most powerful secret skill is? Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. Is it the space-time divine skill? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Yes. Temple Master Bai Xing nodded. But why are there 7 stone tablets here? Jian Wushuang asked again. It's very simple. There are 7 moves of the space-time divine skill. Temple Master Bai Xing said with a smile. Jian Wushuang suddenly understood. Each of these 7 stone tablets contains a move of the space-time divine skill. They have been standing here for a long time. However, very few people have been able to comprehend the space-time divine skill from these 7 stone tablets. Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. After all, it was the most powerful divine skill created by the great Temple Master of space-time. How could anyone casually comprehend it? Little guy, you comprehended the space-time divine skill through the space-time stone. But as far as I know, the space-time divine skill contained in the space-time stone is not complete, right? Temple Master Bai Xing asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. There are 2 divine skills contained in the space-time gold stone. The first one is the heaven-designated skill, and the second one is the void annihilation skill. As for the next 3 to 7 moves, there are none. Now you can directly comprehend the 3rd move from the 3rd stone tablet, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang immediately walked forward. He walked to the 3rd stone tablet and sat down with his legs crossed. His consciousness was completely immersed in the stone tablet. To be exact, it was the word space-time in the center of the stone tablet. After a short while, the screen turned, and Jian Wushuang suddenly came to a vast dark void. In the dark void, the hazy figure was still standing there. The world was originally calm. Suddenly, the hazy figure took a step forward. It was a simple step, but it instantly crossed space-time and appeared in the void hundreds of millions of miles away. The scene quickly disappeared. Under the stone tablet, Jian Wushuang's expression was extremely shocked. This is the 3rd move of the space-time divine skill teleportation? No, it's space-time teleportation. But why does it feel exactly the same as teleportation? Jian Wushuang frowned. In the picture, the shadowy figure's method indeed looked exactly the same as teleportation. But teleportation, as long as one's comprehension of the space-time principles reached the 4th stage, he could master it. Chapter 3176. Space-time teleportation _ Does it feel strange? Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes, it does. Jian Wushuang nodded. The 3rd move of the space-time divine skill gives me the same feeling as teleportation. The same? That's not true. Temple Master Bai Xing smiled mysteriously. Little guy, if you simply look at it and observe it, space-time teleportation and teleportation are exactly the same, but the gap between them is huge. A big gap. Why? Jian Wushuang asked with puzzlement. First of all, you should know that cultivators who have comprehended the space-time principles can master teleportation after reaching the 4th stage of the comprehension of the space-time principles. Teleportation is a special method used for escaping and traveling, but there are many limitations to this method. For example, space-time blockade? Temple Master Bai Xing explained. In the divine beginning realm, any cultivator who has some attainments in space-time can use space-time seal. Those who have not comprehended the rules of space-time, even if they can't seal space-time by themselves, there are many treasures or magic arrays in the divine beginning realm that can seal space-time in the shortest time. Jian Wushuang could understand this point. Space-time seal was not a very powerful technique. With his current comprehension of space-time principles, he could also seal space-time. In addition, he had the ruler seal, which could seal a huge space-time. Once space-time is completely sealed, you can't teleport in this sealed space-time. Temple Master Bai Xing said with a smile. Therefore, in the divine beginning world, if you want to kill experts who have a high understanding of space-time principles and know how to teleport, you must first seal the space-time where they are before they have time to react, so that they can't use their teleportation skills, and then kill them. Jian Wushuang understood. He also knew that a cultivator who could teleport had mastered a lot of life-saving skills. But it was not invincible. Otherwise, in the history of the Temporal Temple, there had been so many experts in the field of space and time, as well as so many principles masters who had perfectly mastered the principles of space and time. All of them had mastered teleportation techniques, but 99% of them had died. Teleportation can be restricted by the space-time seal, but space-time teleportation is different. Palace Master Bai Xing smiled. Space-time teleportation is a unique move that Temple Master created after studying it for a long time. This unique move is used to protect one's life. At first glance, it does look the same as teleportation, but teleportation cannot break through the space-time seal. However, space-time teleportation can. In other words, as long as I master this move, even if someone blocks space-time in advance, I can escape through space-time teleportation? Jian Wushuang looked at Temple Master Bai Xing. Yes. Temple Master Bai Xing nodded. Jian Wushuang immediately became excited. Teleportation that could ignore the time and space seal? This time and space move was a perfect life-saving method. Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't be too happy. Nothing in this world is absolute. Although the time and space move created by Temple Master can ignore the time and space seal, and cannot be restricted by ordinary cultivators and some treasure arrays, this move can also be restricted, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Huh. Jian Wushuang immediately looked up at Temple Master Bai Xing. In the Divine Beginning realm, some principles masters who have reached the peak of the usage of time and space can use the space-binding skill. Once the space is confined, they can't use space-time teleportation, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Space-binding. Jian Wushuang was stunned. That is a special use of the power of space and time. But don't worry too much. Space imprisonment is not a move that can be mastered by just anyone. Even in the vast Divine Beginning realm, there are only 12 principles masters who know how to use space imprisonment. 8 of them are from the Temporal Temple, Temple Master Bai Xing said with a smile. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. There were only 12 experts in the Divine Beginning realm who knew how to use spatial confinement, and the Temporal Temple had 8 of them? This alone was enough to show the strength of the Temporal Temple. In other words, if I master the move of space-time teleportation, there will only be 4 people in the entire Divine Beginning realm who can kill me. Jian Wushuang stared at Temple Master Bai Xing with a strange light in his eyes. Normally speaking, that's true, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang could not help clenching his hands. Right now he had been targeted by the will of heaven, the 3 saint realms, and even the sorcerer god sect. Not to mention the will of heaven, the 3 saint realms, and the sorcerer god sect were full of experts and principles masters. He did not have the ability to face principles masters head-on. However, if he mastered the move of time-space teleportation, he would not be able to resist principles masters who were extremely strong, or even at the top level, let alone ordinary principles masters. But he would not have any problem keeping himself alive. Even if the 3 Saint Realm Masters came personally, Jian Wushuang knew that although the 3 Saint Realm Masters were superior, they were only principles masters. The reason why they were so much stronger than the other principles masters was mainly because of the power of the will of heaven. With the move of time-space teleportation, even the 3 masters of the Saint Realm would not be able to do anything to him. I must master this move no matter what. Jian Wushuang was full of expectation, but at the same time, he also understood. The move of time-space teleportation is used on the basis of teleportation. If I want to master this move, I must first master teleportation. However, I'm still a long way from the 4th stage of the space-time principles. It seems that I have to go through a round of cultivation before I can master this divine skill. Little guy, you can take a look at the secret skill of the Secret Skill Pavilion. If you find something suitable, you can take it and cultivate it. But remember not to cultivate too many secret skills. You can't bite off more than you can chew. You must remember this principle. While exhorting, Temple Master Bai Xing had already left the Secret Skill Pavilion. Temple Master Bai Xing, are all the fortuitous places in the Temporal Temple already here? Jian Wushuang asked. The temporal beast god, the heavenly bridge, the true martial mystic realm, the temporal temple, and the secret skill pavilion are 5 places you can go for the time being. As for the other fortuitous places, of course there are. Temple Master Bai Xing said. Chapter 3177. Looking forward to it _little guy, look over there. Temple Master Bai Xing pointed in a direction. Jian Wushuang followed the direction and saw a towering mountain. On top of the mountain, there were dozens of palaces. There are 16 palaces on the mountain. Each palace contains some special things. Unfortunately, the immortal saint can't touch them. Even ordinary principles masters are not qualified to touch them. Only principles masters who have comprehended 2 principles and obtained 2 wills are qualified to touch them. Temple Master Bai Xing said. There really are more. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. He felt that the 5 places Temple Master Bai Xing had taken him to were already very impressive. However, it was clear that the opportunities in the space-time island were not limited to this. He was just not qualified to come into contact with things of a higher level. That is the place where many of the cultivators of the temporal temple live. Those with a magic array barrier outside have an owner. Those without a magic array barrier naturally have no owner. You can find a place without an owner to live in. This is my token. If you encounter any problems in the future, you can send a message to me. Temple Master Bai Xing said as he handed a token to Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang took the token and looked at the buildings in front of him. He nodded slightly. Oh, there's one more thing I want to remind you. You'd better work hard during this period and improve your strength as much as possible. Then you might be able to catch up with the event in 300 years, Temple Master Bai Xing said. The event in 300 years? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. Temple Master Bai Xing did not say much. He waved at Jian Wushuang and left alone. Jian Wushuang shrugged and did not ask any more questions. Temporal Temple. Jian Wushuang looked around at the huge space-time island, but his eyes were shining. After finding his place, Jian Wushuang went to the true martial mystic realm again. Among the 5 places Temple Master Bai Xing had taken him to, the one that shocked him the most was the temporal tower. It could change the flow of time, especially on the 3rd floor. It was incredible that it could slow time by 1,000 times. However, the true martial mystic realm was the one that surprised Jian Wushuang the most. The true martial mystic realm was left behind by thousands of principles masters of the temporal temple. Even though these principles masters had left it casually, it was still enough to excite Jian Wushuang. In the true martial mystic realm, icebergs stood on the vast ice field. Jian Wushuang walked alone, step by step past the icebergs. There were names on the icebergs, among which were the things left behind by the principles masters. Every time Jian Wushuang walked past an iceberg, he would carefully examine the things left behind by the principles master on the icebergs. Some of the principles masters had left behind their own absolute arts. Some had left behind their own secret skills, and some had left behind some special uses of time and space. Jian Wushuang examined them one by one. If he found anything useful that could trigger him, he would stop. In the blink of an eye, he had been in the ice field for 3 days. During these 3 days, he had only seen about 100 icebergs, and he had only seen the things left behind by more than 100 principles masters. At this moment, Jian Wushuang walked to a new iceberg. Master Jian Yuan? Jian Wushuang looked at the name left on the iceberg. Master Jian Yuan calls himself Sword. This Master Jian Yuan should be an expert who specializes in sword principle. Jian Wushuang murmured, and then sank his consciousness into the iceberg. In an instant, a picture appeared in front of him. In the picture, a black-clothed Master Jian Yuan silently floated out with a soft black sword in his hand. The world was still very calm. Master Jian Yuan had completely disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the distant void. At the same time, the soft black sword in his hand flew out. This sword move was silent. No sound could be heard as the sword edge swept through the void. There was not even the slightest bit of power being transmitted out. So fast! Jian Wushuang's eyes were wide open. This sword move was too fast. It was much faster than the star dream he had created, or even the moment of life and death. Of course, Master Jian Yuan was a principal's master, so it was normal for his sword skill to be faster than Jian Wushuang's. In the scene, after the sword move, Master Jian Yuan immediately performed a second sword move. Silent sword art. Assassin. While Jian Wushuang was carefully observing the scene, he also received the information from the picture. This master of sword origin was actually an assassin when he was alive. His sword art was supreme in speed, eerie, dark and silent, and fatal in one strike. Just like its name, this silent sword art did not show any power or movement from the beginning to the end. Its speed was extremely terrifying. It was indeed an assassination sword art performed by assassins. Although the silent swordsmanship focuses on assassination, it feels very similar to the instant of life and death that I created, Jian Wushuang muttered. He looked carefully at the scene in front of him and was completely mesmerized. Half a month later, fog rain swordsmanship? What a unique swordsmanship. How can it be so unique in the use of space-time principles? Jian Wushuang was delighted. Although most of the principles masters in the true self-secret realm had left some things here, there were a few principles masters who left their proudest things here. For example, the silent swordsmanship of the sword origin master. The misty rain swordsmanship left by the principles master named Tu was a terrifying swordsmanship. It was also the strongest and most complete skill of the two principles masters. Jian Wushuang happened to be good at sword principle. These two swordsmanship were of great help to him. The true martial mystic realm, left behind by so many principles masters, is of great help to me. The time-space beast god, the heavenly bridge, the secret skill pavilion, and even the temporal tower are all of great help to me. In this life, I have been cultivating alone since I was born. I haven't joined a sect in the true sense of the word, and used a lot of resources to cultivate. Now there are many opportunities on the space-time island, and my talent in the space-time principles is also very high. Let me see how far I can reach in 300 years with the help of these resources on the space-time island. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists, his heart filled with anticipation. Chapter 3178. Jian Wushuang stayed on the time-space island and cultivated with the help of the many resources on the island. Time passed quickly, and in a flash, 290 years had passed. Beside the lake, Temple Master Bai Xing, a black-clothed elder, stood beside Temple Master Bai Xing with a hint of respect between his brows. He said, "The 100,000-year deadline has passed. In another 10 years, the Bloodwave Realm will reopen." Bloodwave Realm. Palace Master Bai Xing pondered for a moment. The opportunities in the Bloodwave Realm are equivalent to a shortcut to the Principles Master. Every time the Bloodwave Realm opens, there will be a large number of top-notch invincible saints heading over. Our temporal temple will have 5 spots to enter the Bloodwave Realm as usual. Have you chosen these 5 spots? I've already chosen them. The black-robed elder nodded, then handed a list to Temple Master Bai Xing. After taking it, Temple Master Bai Xing began to browse through it carefully. How he should be the strongest among the many invincible saints that our temporal temple had first. It's only natural that he would enter the Bloodwave Realm. Qian Hongzi is an invincible saint with extraordinary potential. If he obtains the opportunities in the Bloodwave Realm, his chances of becoming a Principles Master would definitely exceed 90%. It wouldn't be a problem. Palace Master Bai Xing browsed through the names on the list one by one. Palace Master Bai Xing agreed with the first 4 names on the list until the last name. Duan Lang. Palace Master Bai Xing frowned slightly. Although Duan Lang has some talent, his strength is still lacking, right? Well, the black-clothed old man said in a low voice. Duan Lang's strength is now infinitely close to that of an invincible saint. He is indeed weaker than the other 4. But no one else seems to be more suitable than him to enter the Bloodwave Realm. There were indeed not many cultivators in the Temporal Temple, but there were actually some invincible saints in the Temporal Temple. However, most of the invincible immortal saints in the Temporal Temple had exhausted their potential. Even if they got the opportunity in the Bloodwave Realm, the chance of becoming a Principles Master was very low. These invincible immortal saints were naturally not suitable to enter the blood wave realm. Therefore, the black-clothed elder carefully selected Duan Lang, and felt that he was more suitable. Among the immortal saints of the temporal temple, no one is more suitable to enter the blood wave realm than Duan Lang. Except for Di Hao and the other three? Haha, I don't think so, Temple Master Bai Xing said with a mysterious smile. Didn't Ba Song bring a little guy back to our temporal temple 290 years ago? You mean Heavenly Sword Marquis? The black-clothed elder was stunned. The black-clothed elder was also a high-level official of the temporal temple. He was in charge of many things in the temporal temple, so he naturally knew about Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis is indeed very talented, but 290 years ago, when he first came to the temporal temple, he was only a rank 4 true saint. His battle strength was only around rank 7 true saint. Now only 290 years have passed. Even if he has made great progress with the help of the many opportunities on the temporal island, there is still a limit to how fast he can improve. In such a short time, his strength should not be comparable to Duan Lang, right? The black-clothed elder said. I can't say for sure. Palace Master Bai Xing smiled. I've been paying attention to Heavenly Sword Marquis ever since he entered my temporal temple. I've seen his progress in the past 290 years. When he first came to my temporal island 290 years ago, he challenged the Heavenly Bridge once, but he could only pass the 24th level. But after cultivating on our space-time island for more than 200 years, which is 3 years ago, he already passed the 29th level. What? The black-robed elder was shocked. From the 24th level to the 29th level? In less than 300 years, he actually passed the 5th level? How is this possible? It's a bit unbelievable, but it's the truth, Palace Master Bai Xing said. He has passed the 29th level, which means his comprehension of the space-time principles has reached the 4th stage, and he has mastered teleportation. This level has surpassed the level of a rank 7 true saint, and is comparable to those immortal saints who are infinitely close to the invincible level. As for his own realm, he has made great progress in the past 290 years. As far as I know, his current realm has broken through to the level of a rank 6 true saint. Rank 6 true saint realm? The black-clothed elder's pupils constricted. 290 years ago, when Jian Wushuang first came to the time-space island, he was only a rank 4 peak true saint. But now he was already a rank 6 true saint. In other words, he had broken through 2 realms in less than 300 years. How can he improve so fast? The black-clothed elder could not understand. It's nothing strange. He is a super genius. As far as I know, he spent 50 years on the first floor of the temporal tower. The time flow there is 10 times slower. In other words, he stayed in the temporal tower for 500 years. With the help of some treasures, his understanding of the principles and Tao has long exceeded his realm. It's normal for him to break through to rank 6 true saint, Temple Master Bai Xing said. No wonder. The black-clothed elder also understood. In just 290 years, Jian Wushuang had made such great progress in the space-time principles and made such a great breakthrough in his realm. Of course, he would find it incredible. However, if Jian Wushuang had stayed in the temporal tower for 500 years, he would have broken through 2 realms in 500 years. 290 years ago, before Heavenly Sword Marquis came to my temporal tower, he was able to kill a rank 7 true saint with the strength of a rank 4 true saint. Now, he has reached the level of a rank 6 true saint, and with the help of the divine power fruit, he has reached the limit of a rank 6 true saint. His comprehension of the principles has allowed him to pass the 29th level of the heavenly bridge. How strong do you think he is now? Temple Master Bai Xing asked with a smile. I'm afraid he won't be weaker than Duan Lang, the black-robed elder said in a low voice. When he was a rank 4 true saint, he could kill a rank 7 true saint directly. Now that he had reached the limit of rank 6, and his comprehension of the principles had improved so much, his strength had definitely surpassed that of a rank 7 true saint. He might not be comparable to a true invincible saint, but he should be very close. That's it, Palace Master Bai Xing continued. In terms of talent, Heavenly Sword Marquis is much stronger than Duan Lang. Now that Heavenly Sword Marquis strength can keep up, this last spot is naturally reserved for Heavenly Sword Marquis. Palace Master Bai Xing is right. The black-robed elder nodded. Clearly he agreed. Opportunities were always for those who were capable. The spot to enter the Blood Wave realm was the same. Chapter 3179. Of course, what I just said is only my guess for the time being. Whether the true strength of the Heavenly Sword Marquis is equal to or stronger than Duan Lang is still uncertain. For the sake of the opportunity, countless top immortal saints in the Blood Wave realm fought fiercely and killed crazily. If the Heavenly Sword Marquis' strength doesn't meet the requirements, he naturally doesn't have the qualifications to enter. So, before the final quota is determined, I have to test this little guy's real strength. Temple Master Bai Xing smiled, his eyes flashing with a strange luster. In the true martial mystic realm on the time-space island, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged under an iceberg, his consciousness completely immersed in the image of the iceberg. In the image, a white-clothed figure seemed to be transparent, flickering randomly in the void. In the blink of an eye, his figure constantly appeared in every corner of the void. It was obvious that the owner of the iceberg, the principal's master, had left behind a movement technique. This movement technique was very strange, and its use of the power of time and space was unfathomable. Every flicker of his was completely integrated with the surrounding space and time. The power of time and space is self-integrated with the space and time? So that's how it is. Jian Wushuang had been carefully watching the flashing white-clothed figure in the picture, but many insights had emerged in his heart. On the space-time rule, the difficult problem that had been troubling him for a long time was gradually solved. In a flash, more than half a day had passed. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, and a fierce light suddenly flashed in them. The fourth stage of the space-time principles has been completed. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, and there was an uncontrollable ecstasy in his heart. The fourth stage, yes, his comprehension of the space-time principles had only reached the fourth stage, which was also the last stage of the space-time principles. If he took another step, he would completely comprehend the space-time principles. He would become the master of the space-time principles. When Temple Master Bai Xing knew that Jian Wushuang had passed the 29th level of the Heavenly Bridge, he had said that his comprehension of the space-time principles had reached the fourth stage immediately. But now, it seemed that he had not. Temple Master Bai Xing did not know that Jian Wushuang had passed the 29th level, because his comprehension of the space-time principles was very close to the fourth stage. The most important thing was his swordsmanship. In the past 290 years, with the help of the many resources on the time-space island, especially the scenes in the true martial mystic realm, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds, and his comprehension of the space-time principles had greatly increased. At the same time, his swordsmanship had also improved. It was his swordsmanship. His swordsmanship had made great strides, and even made a breakthrough. Because of this, his swordsmanship combined with his comprehension of the space-time principles was able to pass the 29th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Now that I've entered the fourth stage of space-time principles, my strength has soared again. If I combine my swordsmanship, I might even pass the 30th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. In addition, as soon as he reached the fourth stage, he naturally mastered teleportation. He could also comprehend the third move of the space-time divine skill, space-time teleportation, in the secret skill pavilion. Buzz! A figure suddenly appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang turned his head. When he saw the person, he immediately bowed respectfully and said, "Temple Master Bai Xing." Heavenly Sword Marquis, judging from your pleasant surprise just now, you seem to have gained something big again. Temple Master Bai Xing looked at Jian Wushuang. A little. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. It's indeed a good thing to have gained something. But do you still remember what I told you 290 years ago? Temple Master Bai Xing said, I told you to cultivate well, and improve your strength as soon as possible. Maybe you can catch up with the event 300 years later. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Of course, he remembered what Temple Master Bai Xing said. However, He did not know what Temple Master Bai Xing was referring to at that time. 300 years, and now 290 years have passed. Temple Master Bai Xing, is that why you came here today? Jian Wushuang was looking forward to it. Yes. Temple Master Bai Xing smiled. The thing I'm talking about is the Blood Wave Realm. Blood Wave Realm. Jian Wushuang frowned. Obviously he had never heard of it. The Blood Wave Realm is an extremely unique secret realm of heaven and earth in the divine beginning realm. It was created by an extremely ancient super expert. There are opportunities in the Blood Wave Realm. These opportunities are only useful to the immortal saint, and they are enough to make any immortal saint go crazy, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Enough to drive any immortal saint crazy? What kind of status and strength did Temple Master Bai Xing have? Since he dared to say so, he must have his reasons. The opportunities in the Blood Wave Realm must be extraordinary. However, the Blood Wave Realm only opens once every 100,000 years. Every time it opens, only the immortal saint is qualified to enter. As for the Principal's Master, he is completely excluded from the Blood Wave Realm. Every time the Blood Wave Realm opens, the sects of the divine beginning world will send their top immortal saints into it. There are also many independent immortal saints who can enter the Blood Wave Realm through some means. As for the Temporal Temple, it's one of the 3 freedom alliances in the divine beginning realm. Although there aren't many cultivators, we still have 5 slots to enter the Blood Wave Realm. 10 years later, the Blood Wave Realm will open again. Now the Temporal Temple is selecting 5 people to enter the Blood Wave Realm. We've already decided on 4, but there's still 1 more slot. Temple Master Bai Xing said. Temple Master Bai Xing, do you mean I can fight for the last spot? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Temple Master Bai Xing nodded. As expected, the last spot will be decided between you and Duan Lang, another genius expert of the Space-Time Temple. Duan Lang is not only extremely talented, but his battle strength is also infinitely close to that of an invincible saint. But you have terrifying talent and great potential, which is not a problem. However, no one knows how strong your battle strength is, so I came here personally. Heavenly Sword Marquis, here is a scroll. Take a look. Temple Master Bai Xing said, and threw a scroll to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took the scroll, opened it and read it carefully. When he finished reading the contents of the scroll, his expression became extremely strange. Experiential mission? Kill 13 axes. Chapter 3180. Little guy, you can take a closer look at this task. You have 10 years. In 10 years before the opening of the Blood Wave Realm, if you can complete the task alone, you can compete with Duan Lang for the last slot. But if you can't complete the task within 10 years, the last slot will be given to Duan Lang. Do you understand? Temple Master Bai Xing stared at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. Remember, do it alone. I'll wait for your news. After saying that, Temple Master Bai Xing turned around and left. Jian Wushuang looked at the mission scroll in front of him and fell into deep thought. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, the Blood Wave Realm only opens once every 100,000 years. The opportunity contained in it is enough to make any immortal saint go crazy. In other words, this opportunity must be very useful to me. If I miss it, I have to wait another 100,000 years before I get a second chance. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. 100,000 years was too long. He had only appeared in this life for about 1,000 years. Naturally, he could not wait another 100,000 years for nothing. I must seize this opportunity. I must complete this experiential mission. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. However, Temple Master Bai Xing has given me a 10-year time limit, so there's no need to rush. I've just reached the 4th stage of comprehending the space-time principles, and have just mastered teleportation. Before I complete the mission, I'll go to the Secret Skill Pavilion and comprehend the space-time teleportation first. Jian Wushuang made up his mind and immediately went to the Secret Skill Pavilion. On the 3rd floor of the Secret Skill Pavilion, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged in front of the 7 tall stone tablets. Looking at the stone tablets in front of him, Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of anticipation. Let's begin. Soon, Jian Wushuang closed his eyes and began to comprehend. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 year and 4 months had passed. For many people, 1 year was just a snap of the fingers. However, for Jian Wushuang, he had already comprehended the third move of the space-time divine skill, space-time teleportation. This was also related to his talent in space-time. After all, he could comprehend the space-time divine skill from the space-time gold stone. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, it was more difficult to comprehend it from the space-time gold stone than from the 7 stone tablets in the secret skill pavilion. I've mastered space-time teleportation. With this move, I can use it and escape quickly no matter what crisis I encounter. Even if the other party uses space-time seal, it won't be of much use to me. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, his eyes sparkled. I'm a perfect chaotic creature. My life-saving and survival abilities are already amazing. Now with this move, there are only a handful of people in the divine beginning realm who can kill me. Even if it's the 3 saint realms and the sorcerer god sect, it won't be easy for them to kill me again. Jian Wushuang growled with a hint of heroism in his heart. After a while he calmed down. I have comprehended space-time teleportation. Now it's time to complete the experiential learning task. Immediately, Jian Wushuang set off. 9th Wolf Mountain Range in the first sky. Although it was called a mountain range, the territory of the 9th Wolf Mountain Range was vast, even larger than a country. Such a large mountain range had been occupied by the 13 axes for a long time. The 13 axes were the collective name for the 13 experts in the 9th Wolf Mountain Range. These 13 experts were all bandits, but because of their tyrannical strength, their deterrence was no longer comparable to that of ordinary bandits. In the surrounding areas of the 9 Wolf Mountain Range, and even in the entire First Heaven, the 13 axes were notorious. According to the mission given to me by Temple Master Bai Xing, the weakest of the 13 experts of the 13 axes are at the peak of rank 7 True Saint. The eldest one, Blood Eagle, and the second one, Violent Bear, are both above rank 7 and are infinitely close to the invincible saint realm. Jian Wushuang appeared alone in the 9 Wolf Mountain Range. Looking at the vast mountain range in front of him, he frowned slightly. The mission Temple Master Bai Xing had given him was to prove his strength, and that he was qualified to enter the Blood Wave realm. Therefore this mission was not easy. 13 axes, 13 experts, and the weakest one was a rank 7 peak True Saint. In addition, there were 2 immortal saints who were infinitely close to the invincible level. This lineup could be said to be terrifying. Even the overlords in the First Heaven, such as the 12 divine sects, did not have an invincible saint in most of the 12 divine sections. Without an invincible saint, with the combined strength of the top forces under their command, they would not be able to compete with the 13 axes. Even the 9 courtyards, with the invincible saint in charge, did not dare to provoke the 13 axes, because the combined strength of the 13 axes was indeed too strong. Jian Wushuang's task was to kill all the 13 axes. The 13 axes have occupied the 9 Wolf Mountain Range for hundreds of thousands of years. Over the years, they have plundered and committed many evil deeds. Many countries, and even some small sects in the 9 Wolf Mountain Range, have been oppressed by the 13 axes. They deserve to die, but it's not easy to kill all the 13 axes. Jian Wushuang frowned. This task was indeed challenging for him, but it was not impossible for him to complete it. I have been cultivating in the temporal temple for 290 years, and my strength has changed a lot. These 13 axes are so powerful. They are really a good grindstone for me. Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining, and then his body flashed. He directly rushed into the depths of the 9 Wolf Mountain Range. The 13 experts in the 9 Wolf Mountain Range did not live together, but they were scattered and each occupied a mountain peak. Normally, the 13 axes would only gather together occasionally, but they usually lived on their own mountain peaks. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had arrived at a mountain peak of the 13 axes through the star map of the 9 Wolf Mountain Range. According to the star map, this mountaintop has always been occupied by the Nether Cloud King, who is ranked 8th among the 13 axes. His strength is only average among the 13 axes. I'll be the first to attack him, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Then, he moved his consciousness. Buzz! A terrifying power instantly erupted from his body. This power swept out in all directions, and in the blink of an eye, layers of enormous barriers appeared in the surrounding void. This barrier was like an iron bucket, surrounding all directions, not leaving a single crack. Sovereign Seal, Sovereign of Spacetime. Chapter 3181. Tranquil Cloud King _ At the peak of a mountain that towered into the clouds, a dense mass of palaces stood there. The 13 axes had already dominated the Nine-Wolf Mountain range for hundreds of thousands of years, and their fierce reputation was illustrious. Every expert of these 13 axes was equivalent to an overlord of a region. Large groups of experts were also gathered under their command, Tranquil Cloud King. Although his strength was very average among the 13 axes, there were still quite a number of experts under him. The mountain he lived on did not seem like a bandit's nest. Instead, it seemed like a powerful and prosperous sect. In the majestic palace, a middle-aged man, the Tranquil Cloud King, who wore a loose black robe and had small eyes like a mouse, sat casually on a throne. There was a playful smile at the corner of his mouth as he watched the dozens of beauties below dancing gracefully. Tranquil Cloud King stretched out his hand to take a bowl from the side and took a sip. I can eat whatever I want and play whatever I want. This is truly a carefree and happy day. I don't have any ambition. It's already pretty good to have such a happy day, unlike Big Brother. Tranquil Cloud King sighed secretly. Big Brother is clearly very strong. Even if he's compared to the invincible saint, he's only slightly weaker. In the entire first sky, or even the entire divine beginning realm, he's already a first-class expert. Yet he's still not satisfied. He still wants to follow that carefree young master to the Blood Wave realm to explore and find the so-called great opportunity. Great fortune? Stupid. The Tranquil Cloud King curled his lips. What kind of character is that carefree young master? Even if they really obtained a great opportunity in the Blood Wave realm, how could Big Brother have a share? On the contrary, when the Blood Wave realm opened, countless top-notch immortal saints would swarm over. The battle there was extremely intense. Not to mention Big Brother's level of immortal saints. Even a true invincible saint might die. Big Brother and that carefree young master went in to roam about. They were just going in to be cannon fodder. Of course, these words were only spoken in the depths of the Tranquil Cloud King's heart. But on the surface, when he knew that his big brother was going to the Blood Wave realm, he was full of all sorts of flattery. Suddenly, Wang, a terrifying power suddenly erupted. In the main hall, those dancing beauties instantly stopped. The Tranquil Cloud King also abruptly stood up. This power, what's going on? The Tranquil Cloud King's figure flashed and instantly appeared in the void of the outside world. And at this moment, the void of the outside world was already completely covered by a huge barrier. Just looking at this barrier with the naked eye, its power was extremely tyrannical. It was not something that an ordinary person could break through. This barrier had completely sealed off the mountaintop occupied by the Tranquil Cloud King. Although the ruler's seal is not a supreme treasure, its value is not inferior to a supreme treasure. With my current divine power level, even a real invincible saint would not be able to break the formation formed by the ruler's seal so easily. Jian Wushuang crossed his arms as he stood in the void. He looked around at the barriers around him. Tranquil Cloud King was already in front of Jian Wushuang. Who are you? Tranquil Cloud King stared at Jian Wushuang coldly. He could feel that the barrier formation was cast by this man. However, the divine power aura emitted by this man was only at the level of a rank 6 true saint. Although he was already at the limit of a rank 6 true saint, he did not take him seriously. Are you the 8th of the 13 axes, Tranquil Cloud King? Jian Wushuang stared at Tranquil Cloud King and said, My name is Han. Jian Wushuang still used the alias Han in front of Tranquil Cloud King. He also disguised his appearance. Although Tranquil Cloud King had seen the fight between Jian Wushuang and Bai Yuan of the Purple Cloud Pavilion, he did not recognize Jian Wushuang immediately. He had only seen it through the mirror image, so he could not recognize Jian Wushuang immediately. How dare you lock down my residence? How dare you? The tranquil Cloud King growled, his eyes burning with anger. Although he was angry, the tranquil Cloud King did not attack immediately. His intuition told him that although the person in front of him was only a rank 6 true saint, he must have something to rely on since he dared to come to his door. Moreover, he could smell a hint of danger from Jian Wushuang. Not only do I want to lock down your residence, but I also want to kill you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Kill me? Tranquil Cloud King was stunned. A rank 6 true saint actually threatened to kill him? Go ahead and use your full strength. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned slightly cold. With a flip of his hand, the Blood Mountain sword appeared in his hand. Tranquil Cloud King's face immediately turned ferocious. Boy, since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. Boom! A terrifying aura suddenly burst out from Tranquil Cloud King's body. It was the aura of a true saint at the peak of rank 7, and it was unusually violent. Whoosh! In a flash, Tranquil Cloud King appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, and his right hand had turned scarlet. Scarlet Dark Cloud. With a low shout, Tranquil Cloud King's scarlet right hand suddenly struck out, and in an instant endless power swept out. Buzz buzz buzz. A large amount of blood fog surged crazily, and in the blink of an eye, it had formed a blood-red exotic beast that was 30 meters tall with a monstrous power. The blood-red exotic beast growled, opened its bloody mouth, and directly swallowed Jian Wushuang. Tranquil Cloud King could tell that Jian Wushuang was strong, so he did not let his guard down. He used all his strength in the first move. The move he was using now was one of his most powerful moves, and it was extremely powerful. He was confident in this move. Even a rank 7 advanced true saint would not be able to block this move head-on. The result was likely that the rank 7 advanced true saint's divine body would collapse. And the person in front of him was clearly a rank 6 true saint. Die boy! Tranquil Cloud King's killing intent soared to the sky, but just as the killing intent in Tranquil Cloud King's eyes condensed, Jian Wushuang, who had been standing in the void without any movement, suddenly moved. Whoosh! A sword light containing a shocking violence suddenly swung out. This sword light was also scarlet, like a blood-red lightning bolt. In an instant, it struck the blood-red exotic beast that had opened its bloody mouth. In just an instant, that blood-colored beast that was over 100 feet tall directly crumbled and disintegrated. A large amount of blood fog frantically retreated in the surroundings. However, after receiving the blood-colored lightning, its might only weakened slightly. After that, it continued to bombard the Tranquil Cloud King. What? The Tranquil Cloud King's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly waved his hand to block. Bang! With a loud sound, the Tranquil Cloud King's body shook violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood and shot out. Jian Wushuang, who was in the void in front of him, flashed strangely, and appeared next to the retreating Tranquil Cloud King. Then a beautiful sword light lit up. Peerless Sword Manual, Star Dream First Move. Chapter 3182. Easy kill. This sword was too fast. Tranquil Cloud King, who was flying backward, did not have time to react before the beautiful sword light cut straight at his neck. Tranquil Cloud King's body was covered with protective armor, which was of a high level. However, during the 290 years of cultivation on the space-time island, Jian Wushuang had been nurturing the Blood Mountain sword. He had even spared no expense to find a way to upgrade the Blood Mountain sword. By now, the Blood Mountain sword had reached the highest level of supreme-grade holy treasure. The Blood Mountain sword was originally a killing divine sword, which was extremely sharp. Chi! The sound of the sword cutting into the body rang out. The protective armor on the Tranquil Cloud King's body was torn apart on the spot. Sword light shot out from the other end of the armor, and the Tranquil Cloud King's head was instantly thrown away. At the same time that the Blood Mountain sword cut off the Tranquil Cloud King's head, the cold blood venom contained in the Blood Mountain sword instantly invaded the Tranquil Cloud King's divine body. The cold blood venom, which was worth 100 million holy elixirs a drop, was the nightmare of all true saints. The Tranquil Cloud King did not even have the slightest chance to struggle before he died. After cultivating in the space-time island for 290 years, my strength has improved too much. This tranquil Cloud King is indeed a genuine rank 7 peak true saint. But with my current strength, it's really easy for me to kill him. Jian Wushuang stood there, seeing the tranquil Cloud King's divine body completely disappear. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. In the past 290 years, his progress was incredible. First of all, his realm had directly broken through, as a rank 4 peak true saint, to the peak of rank 6 true saint. With the help of the divine power fruit, he had also directly reached the peak of rank 6 true saint. It must be known that as a perfect chaotic creature, his strength at the peak of rank 4 true saint was comparable to that of a peak rank 6 true saint. If he used a secret skill, he would be able to challenge a rank 7 true saint. But now, he had reached the limit of a rank 6 true saint. Although the gap between him and a rank 7 true saint was getting bigger, his divine power had already surpassed that of a rank 7 true saint. Yes, his divine power was completely superior to that of a peak rank 7 true saint. As for the rules, he had reached the 4th stage of comprehending the space-time principles, which was also not a level that ordinary rank 7 true saints could grasp. But those who had reached this stage and mastered teleportation were mostly immortal saints who were infinitely close to the invincible level. In other words, Jian Wushuang was also higher than a rank 7 true saint in terms of rules. And finally, it was sword principle and swordsmanship. Sword principle was the Tao that Jian Wushuang had been pursuing. His talent in sword principle was far higher than his talent in space-time principles. He was a born swordsman. In the past 290 years, it seemed that his space-time principles had made great progress. But in fact, only he knew that his greatest improvement was not in space-time principles, but his own sword principle. One had to know that before he had reached the 4th stage of space-time principles and mastered teleportation, he could rely on his own sword principle and sword techniques to directly pass the 29th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Now he had already reached the completion of the 2nd stage of the sword principle. The immeasurable sword tree in his body had already been nurtured to the limit, reaching a height of 99,900 feet. If he took another step forward, he would be at the 3rd stage, which was the derivation of all things. In terms of swordsmanship, the level of the 7 sword moves in the Wushuang sword manual had long surpassed that of the 7th level absolute art. If one had to divide the sword moves into levels, the 7 sword moves in the Wushuang sword manual could now be divided into the 8th level. Whether it was power or principles of swordsmanship, he was completely above the true saint at the peak of rank 7. Now that he had killed the Dark Cloud King, he naturally felt extremely relaxed. It only took him an instant to kill the Tranquil Cloud King. Jian Wushuang had only made 2 moves. The first time, he used the sword skill Shixiang to defeat the Tranquil Cloud King's attack head-on and send him flying. The second time, he used the sword skill Star Dream to cut off the Tranquil Cloud King's head and kill him with the cold blood poison. The 2 strikes were clean and neat. A true saint at the peak of rank 7 did not even have a chance to fight back. After the death of the Tranquil Cloud King, Jian Wushuang did not stay on the mountain for long. He teleported and went to the next place. After Jian Wushuang left, the void exploded. Dead? Leader is dead. Leader? He's a powerful true saint at the peak of the 7th rank. How could he be killed by a 6th rank true saint? That rank 6 true saint is too terrifying. Quick, report this to the other leaders. The whole mountain was in an uproar. The experts under the command of the Tranquil Cloud King immediately began to send messages. However, while the experts under the command of the Tranquil Cloud King were sending messages, Jian Wushuang had teleported to another mountain. This was the place where the leader of the 13th axe, ranked 11th, was located. It's so easy to travel after mastering teleportation. I was just at the place where the Tranquil Cloud King lived, but now I'm here in the blink of an eye. I'm afraid that the leader of this mountain doesn't know that the Tranquil Cloud King is dead. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He looked down at the buildings below. Let's do it. Buzz. The power of the ruler seal was activated again, covering the entire mountain in front of him. After a short while, Jian Wushuang killed the leader of this mountain and then teleported away. With teleportation, Jian Wushuang's killing speed was too fast. The Tranquil Cloud King was the first to be killed, followed by the second, third, and fourth leaders. When Jian Wushuang reached the mountain where the fifth leader was, he's gone? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Sir, the leader was discussing something with us in the hall just now, but for some reason, the leader's face changed after receiving a message, and then he immediately left without telling us where to go. A rank 7 true saint stood respectfully in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was only a rank 6 true saint, so this rank 7 true saint should have a high status. However, just now, Jian Wushuang suddenly killed 2 rank 7 true saints in a lightning-fast way. The remaining rank 7 true saint was naturally very respectful. Just left. Jian Wushuang understood. He must have received the news and left his nest ahead of time. It seems that it's impossible for me to kill these 13 axes one by one. Jian Wushuang sighed, but he was mentally prepared. Chapter 3183. Gathering. It had been a while since Jian Wushuang killed the Tranquil Cloud King. 13 axes could naturally react. Since 4 people had been killed by Jian Wushuang, the remaining leaders of 13 axes, naturally, they would not stay in their own nest and wait for him to kill them. Moreover, if Jian Wushuang had not mastered teleportation and easily rushed to the mountains, he would not have been able to kill the 4 leaders. I never thought of killing them one by one. Now, I have killed 4 of them, and only 9 of them are left. That's good enough. Jian Wushuang smiled and was very satisfied with his results. However, his task was to kill all 13 axes. He hadn't finished half of the task yet. The leaders of this mountain have escaped from their nest, and the leaders of the other mountains are probably the same. If I'm not mistaken, these leaders should be rushing to Green Flame Mountain as soon as possible, which is the nest of the 13 axes boss, Blood Eagle, to discuss countermeasures. I'm afraid they won't go out alone until they kill me. If I want to kill the remaining 9 leaders of the 13 axes, I have no choice but to kill them and face them head-on. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Green Flame Mountain, 9 Wolf Mountain Range. The lair of the number 1 leader of the 13 axes, Blood Eagle, was here. At this moment, in the hall in the center of Green Flame Mountain, the leader, Blood Eagle, the second brother, Violent Bear, and the other 7 leaders who were still alive were gathered here. Everyone's expressions were extremely ugly, and the atmosphere in the main hall was extremely gloomy. After a long while, Blood Eagle was the first to speak. 6th brother, 8th brother, 11th brother, and the 13th brother are all dead, and they were all killed by the same person. That person should be proficient in the laws of space and time, and have already grasped teleportation. He can use it to rush to the top of the mountain where 6th brother and the rest are. And his strength is also extremely terrifying. Elder 6, Elder 8, Elder 11 and Elder 13 have all reached the peak of rank 7, especially Elder 13. His strength is enough to rank in the top 5 among our 13 brothers, but he was easily killed by him. Hearing Blood Eagle's words, the leaders present were all silent, and a few of them even had looks of relief on their faces. They were indeed glad. They were glad that that person had attacked 6th, 8th, 11th and 13th first and not them. Otherwise, with that person's strength, once he was targeted, they would definitely die. This is a mirror image transmitted by 8th's subordinates. There is a scene of that person fighting with 8th. Take a careful look. Blood Eagle waved his hand, and immediately, a huge mirror image appeared in the middle of the hall. In the mirror image, Elder 8's Tranquil Cloud King was fighting with a young man. A rank 6 true saint? These leaders immediately discovered a problem. The person fighting with Tranquil Cloud King was only a rank 6 true saint. But soon after, this rank 6 true saint displayed an incomparably terrifying strength. So powerful, he defeated Elder 8's strongest move in a head-on fight, and even sent Elder 8 flying. He attacked again. How could he be so fast? Elder 8's body is flying backward, so he definitely can't block this attack. Sure enough, Elder 8's divine body collapsed and he died immediately. He didn't even undergo second recombination. It's venom. and its extremely terrifying venom. It can instantly kill a true saint at the peak of rank 7. Seeing the scene of Jian Wushuang fighting with Tranquil Cloud King, the leaders present were all shocked. What shocked them was the strength Jian Wushuang had displayed. He had killed Tranquil Cloud King, who was at the peak of rank 7 true saint realm, with only 2 strikes. His strength was too terrifying. Big Brother. Although this man is only at the rank 6 true saint realm, his strength is more powerful than an ordinary peak of rank 7 true saint. Moreover, his swordsmanship is indeed terrifying. If you fight him head-on, are you sure you can defeat him? Violent Bear, who was the second brother, whose entire body was filled with a violent aura, looked toward Blood Eagle. I don't know. Blood Eagle shook his head. Just from the power he displayed in this mirror image, I am certain that I can defeat him. However, I am afraid that when he killed our 8th brother, he did not use his full strength. Therefore, I am not very confident. Violent Bear frowned, then he said in a low voice, "Where did this person called Han come from? He is clearly only a rank 6 true saint, but his combat power is so strong. Could he be a top genius from the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, or the heavenly ancestor Taoist sect? But our 13 axes did not take the initiative to provoke the heavenly cleaving alliance, or the heavenly ancestor Taoist sect, right? A rank 6 true saint can easily kill a peak rank 7 true saint. Such a terrifying ability to leap ranks is not something an ordinary genius or monster can do. Moreover, this person has comprehended the principles of space and time, and he uses sword techniques. This reminds me of someone." A leader beside him said. "Who?" Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and the other leaders all looked over. 300 years ago, that first heavenly sword marquis, who caused a commotion throughout the entire divine beginning realm, said the leader. Heavenly sword marquis? Everyone was startled, but then came to a realization. Yes, it's him. Blood Eagle also nodded. That heavenly sword marquis killed a rank 7 true saint as a rank 4 true saint. His ability to jump levels is also extremely terrifying. Furthermore, the heavenly sword marquis also comprehended the space-time principles and used swords as weapons. In fact, their swordsmanship is very similar. In the same era, it's impossible for 2 people to be so similar in all aspects, and both of them are so unbelievably monstrous. Therefore, this Han must be the heavenly sword marquis. Didn't the heavenly sword marquis fight with the Purple Cloud Pavilion? I heard that he was very powerful. Why did he come to my 9-wolf mountain range and attack my 13 axes? Blood Eagle's face was extremely gloomy. The leaders beside him also had killing intent on their faces. The 13 axes were a team. The 13 leaders of the 13 axes were sworn brothers. The 13 of them had occupied the 9-wolf mountain range for hundreds of thousands of years and had a good relationship with each other. Now that 4 of them had died, the remaining people were naturally furious and naturally wanted to take revenge. Big Brother 6th, 8th, 11th and 13th cannot die in vain. Violent Bear cried out in a low voice. I know. Blood Eagle nodded heavily. His eyes flickered with a strange light. However, from the mirror image, this heavenly sword marquis is extremely powerful. It won't be easy to kill him and avenge 6th brother and the others. Chapter 3184. Killing his way to the door. Blood Eagle was well aware of his own strength. In terms of strength, if the heavenly sword marquis did not hide his strength in the mirror image, Blood Eagle was confident that he was stronger than him. However, even if he was stronger than the heavenly sword marquis, he was only slightly stronger. The 2 of them were so close in strength, it would be extremely difficult to completely defeat the other party. As for killing him, it was just wishful thinking. After all, at their level of strength, not to mention that each of them had extraordinary life-saving methods, just their immortal bodies alone were a huge problem. For example, Jian Wushuang could easily kill a true saint at the peak of rank 7 for 4 reasons. First, he was much stronger than his opponent. Second, he had the Master Seal, which sealed the space and time in the first place, making it impossible for his opponent to escape. Third, his Blood Mountain sword was so sharp that it could easily tear apart his opponent's protective armor. As for the fourth reason, it was the cold blood poison. Once it entered his opponent's divine body, it would destroy his divine power and kill him. Even if Jian Wushuang was only one of the four conditions, he might not be able to kill the four of them. It was because he had all four conditions that the four of them could not escape. They could not escape from him at all. However, if it was Blood Eagle, he was not confident that he could kill Jian Wushuang. Brother, are we just going to let it go? Violent Bear growled. Let it go? Of course not. Blood Eagle's eyes were filled with killing intent. 6th, 8th, 11th, and 13th are brothers who have gone through life and death with us. Now that they have all died in the hands of Heavenly Sword Marquis, how can we just let it go? A blood debt must be paid with blood. However, if we want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis, we have to think of a way. Blood Eagle fell into deep thought. After a long while, he raised his head again. He said, that Heavenly Sword Marquis came to my 9-wolf mountain range and killed Old 6, Old 8, Old 11, and Old 13. He is obviously targeting my 13 axes. He probably wants to kill all of my 13 axes. Now that he has only killed 4 leaders, he will not give up. Instead, he will continue to stay in the 9-wolf mountain range and wait for an opportunity. This gives us a chance to kill him. How about this? I'll send a message to Carefree Young Master and ask him to help me kill him. Carefree Young Master? All the leaders present were stunned. Big brother, will Carefree Young Master agree to help? Violent Bear frowned. One had to know that Carefree Young Master did not have any connection with 13 axes before. This time, it was only because the Bloodwave realm was about to open and Carefree Young Master wanted Blood Eagle to enter the Bloodwave realm with him. That was why he had contact with the 13 axes. However, it was just contact. They did not have any friendship. Why would Carefree Young Master help them? He will help. Carefree Young Master will definitely help. Blood Eagle was extremely confident. Although the Carefree Talisman that Carefree Young Master is in is a first-class force in the Divine Beginning realm, there aren't many spots for them to enter the Bloodwave realm. The reason why Carefree Young Master is willing to give me one of the spots isn't just because of my strength. The most important thing is that I'm comprehending the law of death. Moreover, I can comprehend that formation. I've already grasped 50 to 60% of that formation. Before entering the Bloodwave realm, I can even grasp 70% of that formation. Among the helpers that Carefree Young Master Carefree wants to invite, I'm afraid that no one can match me. Therefore, I'm also quite important to Carefree Young Master. Now that my 13 axes are in trouble, if I ask him for help, he most likely won't refuse. As soon as Blood Eagle spoke, he immediately took out his token and sent a message to Carefree Young Master. The other leaders of the 13 axes were waiting there quietly. After a short while, Blood Eagle took back his token with a smile on his face. As I guessed, Carefree Young Master has agreed. He will immediately send Iron Dragon Saint and Unity Saint to our 9 Wolves mountain range. With their speed, they will arrive here in 5 days at most. Iron Dragon Saint? Unity Saint? The surrounding leaders were pleasantly surprised. Apparently they had heard of their names. Iron Dragon Saint and Unity Saint are both top experts who have been famous in the Divine Beginning world for many years. Either of them is probably stronger than me. With their help, together with my brothers and I, we can easily kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. What I'm worried about now is whether Heavenly Sword Marquis will leave our 9-wolf mountain range before the arrival of Iron Dragon Sword and Unity Saint, Blood Eagle said. If Jian Wushuang left right now, they would have suffered a great loss and would not be able to do anything to him. But if Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to leave, as long as he was still in the 9-wolf mountain range, they were confident that they could find him and kill him. Blood Eagle was thinking with the other leaders, but at this moment, Wang, a majestic power suddenly erupted in the void outside. What's going on? This is the Blood Eagle Violent Bear, and the remaining leaders were all shocked. Immediately, their bodies rushed out. The moment everyone appeared in the void outside, they immediately saw the barrier that completely sealed the surrounding space. That barrier covered the entire Green Flame Mountain in all directions, leaving not a single gap. This barrier seals off space and time. When Han attacked 6th and 8th, He also directly sealed off space and time. The method of sealing off space and time is exactly the same as this barrier. It's Han, who's here. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Many eyes began to search for him. Soon, everyone's eyes focused on a young man at the end of their line of sight. This young man was naturally Jian Wushuang. As expected, the 9 surviving leaders of the 13 axes are all here. Jian Wushuang stood in the void with a faint smile on his face, as he looked at the 9 leaders who appeared in front of him. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Blood Eagle's voice was cold, and his eyes seemed to spit fire. He stared at Jian Wushuang and said, "You killed 4 of my brothers, and you still dare to come here? Oh, you recognized me?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and was not surprised. 300 years ago, he fought with Bai Yuan of the Purple Cloud Pavilion and killed a rank 7 true saint with the power of a rank 4 true saint. His battle record was incredible, and the mirror image of their battle spread throughout the divine beginning world. As for what techniques he was good at, what weapons he used, and what laws he comprehended, all the experts already knew about it. Now that he had come to the 9 Wolves mountain range to kill, even though he had changed his appearance, the techniques he used had not changed. In addition to his similarly inconceivable ability to cross realms, it was normal for the other party to recognize him. Chapter 3185. Blood Eagle. You must be Blood Eagle, right? Jian Wushuang smiled and looked at the man in a blood-red robe. I've long heard that among the 13 axes, Blood Eagle is the strongest. He's not much weaker than a real invincible saint. Second brother Violent Bear is also close to the level of an invincible saint. Today, I want to have a good experience. You guys come at me together. Jian Wushuang's voice was full of absolute confidence and shocking boldness. Together. Blood Eagle sneered. We don't need to work together to kill you. I'm enough to kill you alone. Oh. Jian Wushuang was stunned. When he came here, he was ready to face the remaining 9 leaders of the 13 axes at the same time. He planned to fight against 9 of them alone, but he did not expect that Blood Eagle did not seem to plan to work together with his brothers. Instead, he wanted to fight against him alone? Was this not giving him a chance? Big brother. Violet Bear also looked at Blood Eagle in surprise. Don't worry, I know what to do, Blood Eagle said lightly. But he suddenly glanced at a person beside him and gave him a look. The person Blood Eagle was looking at was a purple-haired elder, who ranked 4th among the 13 axes. When he saw the look in Blood Eagle's eyes, the purple-haired elder immediately understood Blood Eagle's plan. He nodded without changing his expression. Blood Eagle took a step forward and appeared less than 30 meters in front of Jian Wushuang. A terrifying aura of death began to spread from his body. Boy, today I will avenge my 4 brothers, Blood Eagle shouted sternly. If you want to take revenge, you have to see if you have the strength. If you don't, all of you here will follow in the footsteps of your 4 brothers and die. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and said, Make your move. Humph! Blood Eagle snorted, and a black axe appeared in his hand. The black axe was also filled with a strong aura of death. As Blood Eagle raised the axe, it fell straight down. Crash! The whole world suddenly became dead silent. The air of death was heavy everywhere. The pitch-black and mighty axe shadow slashed directly at Jian Wushuang. The aura of death contained in the axe shadow was extremely strong. Under this terrifying aura of death, an ordinary 6th or 7th rank true saint would probably be trembling in fear. However, this aura of death had no effect on Jian Wushuang at all. Jian Wushuang flipped his hand, and the Blood Mountain sword appeared in his hand. Then a blood-red bolt of lightning suddenly flashed out. It was the peerless sword technique Shi Xiang. Clang! When the 2 forces came into contact, the 2 terrifying forces collided. Jian Wushuang moved slightly and retreated backward. Blood Eagle also retreated a few steps. When he stopped, Blood Eagle raised his head and looked at Jian Wushuang with a hint of seriousness. No wonder Heavenly Sword Marquis could easily kill 6th brother and 8th brother. His divine power is really powerful. He is only a rank 6 true saint, but his divine power seems to be slightly stronger than mine. Blood Eagle glanced at the giant axe in his hand. The huge black axe was still slightly trembling. Boy die! Blood Eagle took another step forward, and the death aura of the huge black axe in his hand suddenly soared. 9 axes of demonic arrival. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One after another, axe shadows that seemed to be able to split the heaven and earth with a strong death aura suddenly slashed out. Jian Wushuang also came up to him directly. Wow, 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 wow. The same sword shadow swept out suddenly. Peerless sword code. Fantasy sword 9 heavens. Dang, 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 dang. A low sound of impact echoed throughout the void. 2 people in the void in the crazy collision, swinging a huge axe. And the speed of swordplay is incredible, so that the surrounding leaders cannot see clearly. After 9 consecutive clashing sounds, the 2 separated again. Jian Wushuang stood in the void with the sword in one hand, and looked at Blood Eagle, with a faint smile in his eyes. Blood Eagle, is that all you've got? This kid. Blood Eagle's face was gloomy. Previously, when he saw the mirror image of Jian Wushuang killing the Tranquil Cloud King, he thought that he was stronger than Jian Wushuang. But now, when he fought with Jian Wushuang, and felt his swordsmanship and strength, he knew that Jian Wushuang was not weaker than him. In fact, Jian Wushuang was slightly stronger than him in terms of strength and power. Kid, don't be complacent. Lend me another axe. Blood Eagle's cold voice echoed in the world. At this time, he raised the giant axe in his hands. A majestic aura of death began to gather crazily in the axe shadow. Is he going to use his strongest move? Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with anticipation. Boom! The axe, which contained a majestic aura of death, finally swung out. In an instant, a towering axe shadow covered half of the sky and directly covered Jian Wushuang with a shocking power. However, when Jian Wushuang saw this axe shadow, he frowned. No, this is definitely not his strongest move. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly focused. At the moment when the baby woman used it, Blood Eagle suddenly let out a low cry. Fourth brother! Around the battlefield, the purple-haired elder who had been prepared by Blood Eagle immediately snorted, and then an invisible force came. In the blink of an eye, it formed a soul spike that could not be seen by the naked eye and directly attacked Jian Wushuang. Soul attack. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He finally understood why Blood Eagle wanted to fight him one-on-one. It was because he was drunk. On the surface, he fought me one-on-one, but in fact, he ordered his brother to prepare a soul attack and give me a fatal blow at the critical moment. Blood Eagle is so cunning. Jian Wushuang cursed in his heart. However, even if he suddenly used a soul attack, Blood Eagle could not defeat my divine body with this axe skill alone. He must have prepared other methods. Jian Wushuang immediately looked over. Sure enough, when the purple-haired elder used the soul spike, Blood Eagle also waved his hand. A pitch-black, extremely terrifying black light, which contained a thick aura of death, shot toward Jian Wushuang like a shooting star. It directly shot toward Jian Wushuang. The axe skill is just to confuse me. The soul attack is to affect me. This black light is the real killer move. Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. Chapter 3186. Attack together _ the black light was extremely gorgeous. Jian Wushuang could tell at a glance how terrifying the black light was. In terms of threat, the black light was much bigger than the axe displayed by Blood Eagle. Buzz! The soul attack displayed by the purple-haired elder was already sweeping toward Jian Wushuang. Humph! How can such a soul attack defeat me? Jian Wushuang sneered. In his spiritual sea, the towering exquisite pagoda shook slightly and blocked the soul attack completely. Jian Wushuang was only slightly affected by the soul attack, but the overall effect was not significant. However, just as Jian Wushuang blocked the soul attack, the black light appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, one step ahead of the axe shadow. Jian Wushuang's body swayed strangely. Swish! The black light, which was like a meteor, passed through Jian Wushuang's divine body, without being affected at all. No! Blood Eagle's expression suddenly changed. This guy actually dodged it? Blood Eagle was stunned. In such a situation and at such a close distance, Jian Wushuang had just suffered a soul attack. How could he still use his movement technique to dodge the attack of the black light? How was this possible? Blood Eagle found it unbelievable. However, at this moment, Jian Wushuang's figure had condensed in the void beside him, and his eyes looked directly at the black light. After the black light pierced through his afterimage, it stopped in the air so that Jian Wushuang could see it clearly. The black light was a black dagger, which emitted an extremely strange and terrifying aura. The blade of the dagger was covered with a layer of pitch-black poison, and it was not as simple as just having poison on the blade. Jian Wushuang also felt an extremely strange power from the black dagger. Blood Eagle, you have a good trick. You fight me one-on-one on the surface, but secretly ask your brothers to cooperate with you and prepare a killing move. You want to kill me while I'm not carrying you. Jian Wushuang looked at Blood Eagle. There was a mocking smile at the corner of his mouth. Humph, all is fair in war. You took the initiative to kill your way to my Green Flame Mountain, so how can I be polite to you? Blood Eagle's eyes were cold, but then he looked around. Brothers, let's kill him together and avenge 6th, 8th, 11th, and 13th. Blood Eagle and Jian Wushuang had fought, and he had already seen that Jian Wushuang was not weak. He could not defeat him alone, so Blood Eagle wanted the other leaders to join him. Okay. The other leaders also agreed readily. Brother, let me help you. Violent Bear was the first to speak. Heavenly Sword Marquis, give back my 4 brothers' lives. The other leaders surrounded Jian Wushuang with killing intent. You want to kill me? With just you? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Although he was alone and had to face 9 experts, he was not afraid. 7 of them had reached the peak of rank 7 True Saint, and 2 of them were infinitely close to the Invincible Saint. However, Jian Wushuang did not show any fear. On the contrary, there was a faint excitement in his eyes. In the 290 years on the Timespace Island, with the help of many opportunities on the Timespace Island, my strength has improved so much that I don't even know what level my battle strength has reached. Today, I can use them to test my strength, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. Brothers, let's do it. Blood Eagle shouted in a low voice, and took the lead to attack Jian Wushuang. Blood Eagle's body was full of a dense death aura, which surged wildly in the surroundings. He grabbed the huge axe in one hand, and then swung it toward Jian Wushuang, as if he was splitting the mountain and the earth. The other leaders also made their moves. Among the 13 axes, Violent Bear's strength was second only to Blood Eagle's. He was also close to the Invincible Saint realm. At this moment, he flipped his hand and took out a huge stone stick. It was called a stone stick, but in Violent Bear's hand, it was like a huge stone pillar. Violent Bear held the stone pillar with both hands, and a destructive power condensed in the stone pillar. Then, the stone pillar suddenly stabbed toward Jian Wushuang. As for the other leaders, although they were not as strong as Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, they were at the peak of rank 7 True Saint, and their skills were not ordinary. At this moment, they all greeted Jian Wushuang. Some used their battle sabers to slash out huge saber shadows. Some used their long whips to turn into countless long snakes and bite at Jian Wushuang. He also used a cold spear to stab at Jian Wushuang's heart from behind. In addition, the 4th brother of the 13 axes, the purple-haired elder, was also constantly using soul attacks to influence Jian Wushuang. Haha, come on. Under the siege of the 13 axes, Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. He laughed heartily and went up to meet them alone. Bang! The first move of Shixiang. The violent sword light forced Blood Eagle to retreat. Then Jian Wushuang slashed out with his sword. The shocking power contained in the sword cut across the sky and hit the stone pillar of the Violent Bear, causing it to retreat. Get lost. With a roar, he used the first move of Setting Sun. The shocking sword light contained the space-time annihilation. With Jian Wushuang's current comprehension of the space-time principles, the power of the space-time annihilation was shocking and extremely powerful. It immediately destroyed the attacks of the surrounding leaders. In the huge space-time annihilation storm, Jian Wushuang's figure flickered like a ghost. Swish! 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 Silver ghosts shuttled through the storm at an extreme speed. At least none of the leaders of the 13 axes could keep up with his speed. So fast. He's so fast. Be careful. The leaders of the 13 axes cried out in alarm. They had intended to besiege Jian Wushuang, but Jian Wushuang's burst of speed was so fast that they could not keep up with his speed at all. In the storm, Jian Wushuang used his speed to fight with them again and again. Each time he fought, he would at most face 2 or 3 leaders at the same time. In a short time, these leaders, they could not do anything to him. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's body, which was flashing, suddenly took a step toward the void. When he took a step forward, the Blood Mountain sword in his hand had already fallen. He had already displayed extremely fast swordsmanship. The Peerless Sword Manual, Life and Death Moment. Chi. The purple-haired elder's head was directly thrown away. Chapter 3187. Demon Slaughtering Array 4th Brother. Blood Eagle, Violent Bear. And the leaders of the 13 Axes all changed their expressions when they saw the purple-haired old man's head flying away. Aye. The purple-haired old man still had some consciousness, but at this moment, his face was filled with shock and disbelief. He had already sensed that the divine power in his body had been completely eroded, which meant that he was definitely dead. However, until his death, he did not expect that Heavenly Sword Marquis could find an opportunity to kill him under the siege of their leaders. Although your soul attack can't do anything to me, it's troublesome for you to keep influencing me. Jian Wushuang's light words entered the purple-haired elder's ears. Buzz! The purple-haired elder's divine body collapsed, and his voice finally disappeared completely. Damn it! Bastard! Bastard! Seeing this, the leaders of the 13 Axes all gnashed their teeth and showed hatred in their eyes. But apart from hatred, they were more shocked. They were shocked by Jian Wushuang's strength. After all, Jian Wushuang was besieged by 7 true saints at the peak of rank 7, and 2 experts, who were infinitely close to being invincible. Not only could Jian Wushuang not deal with them in a short time, but he had also found an opportunity to kill one of them? Big brother! Violent Bear glanced at Blood Eagle. Use the magic formation, quick, use the magic formation. Blood Eagle shouted angrily. Hearing Blood Eagle's words, the leaders' faces turned cold. Then they flipped their hands and took out an object. They took out a blood-red bead, and each of them took out one. Then, they poured their divine power into the blood-red bead. Under the stimulation of the divine power, the blood-red beads immediately burst out a bright blood mist, which was extremely dense. After the explosion, it completely covered the surrounding void. Naturally, Jian Wushuang was also covered by the blood mist. Is this a space-time sealing formation? Jian Wushuang's expression changed, but he immediately shook his head. No, if it's really a space-time sealing formation, I only need to activate the ruler seal to easily destroy it. But now, even if I activate the ruler seal, I can't affect this formation at all. It should be another formation. Jian Wushuang guessed correctly. The formation that the leaders of the 13 Axes activated was not to seal space-time, but a combined attack formation. Buzz! 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 Streaks of blood-red light soared into the sky. Jian Wushuang looked over and saw that the leaders who each had a blood-red bead were covered in a layer of blood-red fog. This blood-red fog, it was like a layer of blood-red armor. A thick murderous aura emanated from their bodies. Heavenly Sword Marquis die. A fierce shout came from the void beside them. A bald man held a long spear in his hand. The spear was spinning strangely, and it was like a poisonous dragon drill, stabbing directly toward Jian Wushuang's head. Jian Wushuang only glanced at the bald man, but he did not pay much attention to it. The bald man was just an ordinary leader among the 13 Axes. He only had the battle strength of a true saint at the peak of rank 7, and he was attacking alone. Jian Wushuang did not care at all, and he did not even know how to look at his head. He casually swung his sword. Clang! The Blood Mountain sword came into direct contact with the long spear, and the sound of metal colliding rang out. Feeling the power from the long spear, Jian Wushuang's face darkened, and he could not help taking a step back. As for the bald man, he instantly retreated. It seemed that Jian Wushuang still had the absolute advantage. However, Jian Wushuang was also pushed back. His divine power was slightly stronger than Blood Eagle's and Violent Bear's. He could easily crush a true saint at the peak of rank 7 with a casual strike, But now he was pushed back by his opponent. His strength has improved, and it has improved a lot. Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. At this moment, the other leaders also rushed over, and Jian Wushuang quickly blocked them. However, Jian Wushuang immediately understood that not only the bald man, but all the leaders of the 13 axes had greatly improved their strength. This improvement was mainly reflected in their power. They are only at the peak of rank 7 true saint, but their power has probably exceeded that of a rank 7 true saint. Although there is still a gap between them and Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, it's not too far away. Jian Wushuang's face was solemn. The strength of these leaders had increased so much that it naturally put a lot of pressure on him. Moreover, these were just ordinary leaders, but Blood Eagle and Violent Bear. Kill, Blood Eagle shouted coldly, and the axe shadow slashed out again. It was mighty and earth-shaking, and its power suddenly rose to a whole new level. Invincible True Saint. Jian Wushuang's face suddenly changed. Although he had never fought with the Invincible Saint, he had at least felt the power of the Invincible Saint. Now Blood Eagle's axe attack made him feel like he was facing a real Invincible Saint. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang immediately waved his sword to block the attack. But after the attack, he was sent flying. As expected, the power of the ordinary true saints at the peak of rank 7 has reached the level of the Invincible Saint. But the power of Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, who were already close to the Invincible Saint realm, has reached the level of the Invincible Saint. Is this the effect of the magic formation? What a terrifying magic array! Jian Wushuang secretly exclaimed. In a short time, the strength of the leaders of the 13 axes had been raised to a whole new level. This magic array was indeed impressive. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you should be glad because you are the third person to let us use the demon-slaying magic array against the enemy. The first two were Invincible Saints, and even these two Invincible Saints could only flee in embarrassment after we used the demon-slaying magic array. As for you, you will die today. Monster-killing array, Shuang said coldly. Monster-killing array? Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. He had already remembered the name. Jian Wushuang was a bit suspicious about Blood Eagle's claim that even the Invincible Saint had to flee in a sorry state when the two brothers used the array. But in fact, Blood Eagle was not lying. The monster-killing array was created for them by a formation master at great cost by the 13 axes. It was extremely powerful. If 13 axe had been at his peak, with this array, they would have been able to defeat the Invincible Saint and make him flee. But now, Chapter 3188. Disappeared _ the demon-slaying magic array could only be used to its maximum power with the combined power of 13 axes. But now Jian Wushuang had killed a total of 5 leaders with 13 axes, leaving only 8 people left. The power of the magic array was limited by the combined power of 8 people. But even so, with the help of Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and the other leaders, the demon-slaying magic formation was enough to fight against an ordinary Invincible Saint. Kill him! Blood Eagle's voice was cold. With the help of the magic formation, his and Violent Bear's divine power had reached the level of an Invincible True Saint, and their strength completely surpassed Jian Wushuang's. Buzz! Boom! The huge axe shadow, which contained the aura of death, and the huge stone pillar bombarded Jian Wushuang one after another. Jian Wushuang could only try his best to resist them. The 5 leaders of the peak of rank 7 True Saint realm also displayed their killing moves, which greatly increased the pressure on Jian Wushuang. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive collision sounds rang out. Jian Wushuang had just blocked the attacks of Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, and he was in the middle of retreating. Suddenly, 3 attacks came toward him from the surroundings. One of them was a blood-red spear, one was a cold and ruthless sword shadow, and the last one was a sharp saber light. Jian Wushuang was in the middle of retreating, so he could not move flexibly. He could only swing his Blood Mountain sword to block the blood-red spear and the ruthless sword shadow. As for the last sharp saber light, Jian Wushuang could not block it. Clang! The blade light hit Jian Wushuang's divine body directly. It was blocked by the golden armor on Jian Wushuang's body, making a crisp sound of metal colliding. Jian Wushuang grunted and retreated again. After a long while, he finally came to a stop. His divine body did not collapse directly. It seems that his protective ability is very strong. The one who used the blade light was a long-haired man with brown hair. The long-haired man was very confident in his saber. After all, he was a true saint at the peak of rank 7. With the enhancement of the demon-slaying formation, his divine power had increased to almost invincible level. His full-strength saber strike did not collapse Jian Wushuang's divine body. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang's protective ability was extraordinary. I was forced into such a sorry state by them. Jian Wushuang stood in the void and looked at his chest, where there was a clear white mark left by the saber. This white mark was left by the saber light of the brown-haired man. The saber strike did not directly break through the golden armor, but there was still a powerful force transmitted into his divine body. It severely injured his divine body at the first moment, but it was still a little short of directly destroying his divine body. Now, Jian Wushuang's heavily injured divine body had completely recovered. Haha, it seems that I underestimated the 13 axes. Jian Wushuang laughed lightly, and his laughter echoed. This kid is about to die, and he still dares to laugh? Blood Eagle stared at Jian Wushuang coldly. The leaders of the 13 axes surrounded Jian Wushuang, obviously not giving him a chance to escape. Dying? You should be the ones dying. Jian Wushuang sneered. Blood Eagle, I admit that I underestimated you 13 axes. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful magic array. Fortunately, I have killed 5 of you. Otherwise, the power of the magic array would be stronger if you worked together with the 13 axes. At that time, I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. But now, you are qualified to make me a little more serious. A little more serious? Blood Eagle and the others were stunned. Jian Wushuang's words clearly meant that he had been very casual since the beginning and had not seriously fought with them. Arrogant, Blood Eagle immediately shouted in a low voice. Jian Wushuang did not bother to explain. He continued to calmly look at Blood Eagle and the others, but a large amount of golden divine power began to crazily gather on his body. The golden divine power gathered crazily, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a golden emperor phantom that was 90,000 feet tall. The golden emperor phantom looked down at everyone below, and a terrifying deterrent force covered Blood Eagle and the others. Blood Eagle and the others were shocked. At the same time, the blazing flames, together with ice, burst out crazily. The Icefire realm formed by the Icefire swimming dragon ruler instantly suppressed everyone around it. After all, the Icefire swimming dragon ruler was a domain-type supreme treasure. Jian Wushuang's divine power had long surpassed the rank 7 True Saint realm, and was close to the invincible True Saint realm. Now that he was using the Icefire realm with all his strength, how powerful was it? Boom! As the domain descended, Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and the other 5 leaders felt their bodies sink, as if a terrifying mountain was pressing down on them. What a terrifying domain! This domain is too powerful. I feel that my overall strength has been suppressed by more than 30%. A supreme treasure? This is definitely a domain-type supreme treasure. Only a domain-type supreme treasure has such terrifying power. This heavenly sword marquis actually has a domain-type true treasure on him? Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and all the leaders present were shocked. Under normal circumstances, only Principal's Masters were qualified to have a true treasure, and only Principal's Masters could fully unleash the power of a true treasure. But now this heavenly sword marquis before them had actually taken out a true treasure, and it was an extremely rare domain-type true treasure. A domain-type true treasure is priceless. As long as I kill him, this domain-type true treasure will be mine. Blood Eagle's eyes immediately turned red. Facing a domain-type true treasure, he was naturally extremely envious. However, just as Jian Wushuang took out his Icefire swimming dragon ruler and used his Icefire domain to oppress everyone, his body swayed slightly. This movement was very casual, but Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and the other leaders' eyes were wide open. Disappeared. Where is he? Where did he go? Why can't we find him? We can't see him with the naked eye, and we can't sense his soul power. Could it be that he used teleportation to escape? The realm suppression is still there. It's impossible for him to use teleportation to escape. He just stayed around us. But where is he? Everyone was stunned and shocked. They frantically searched the surrounding void, but they did not dare to use their naked eyes or soul power to find any trace of Jian Wushuang. It was as if Jian Wushuang had really disappeared. But at this moment, Chapter 3189. There was only one person left _. A shrill scream suddenly exploded in the void. Blood Eagle, Violent Bear. And the other leaders immediately looked at the source of the scream. When they saw it, their pupils suddenly shrank. Ninth brother. Blood Eagle was even more furious. The one Blood Eagle called Jiu was the long-haired brown-haired man who had slashed Jian Wushuang with his saber. However, at this moment, his eyes were wide open, and his face was full of fear and disbelief. He slowly lowered his head and looked at his chest. There was a blood-colored divine sword that had pierced through his heart. He could clearly see the cold blade and his blood on the blade. Aye. Before the brown-haired man could say anything, the cold blood poison had already corroded his divine power, and his voice disappeared on the spot. Another leader was killed on the spot. Jian Wushuang, who had killed the brown-haired man, gave a strange smile. Then he disappeared in front of everyone. Be careful. It's a movement technique. It's so terrifying that we can't catch any traces of him. At the same time, he has a very terrifying assassination swordsmanship. He is hiding around us and waiting for the right time to attack us. Quick, find him. If we don't find him, we will only be targets and be assassinated by him. Find him? How? Fourth brother, who is best at soul techniques, has been killed by him. Our soul techniques can't sense his existence at all. Terrified voices sounded one after another. The remaining leaders of the 13 axes were all panicking. They had no choice. They were all shocked by Jian Wushuang's silent assassination technique. They guessed correctly that what Jian Wushuang was using was an extremely strange movement skill. Of course, it could also be said to be a unique secret skill. He could hide among these leaders silently and wait for an opportunity to attack. In addition, there was a reason why Jian Wushuang killed the fourth brother, who was good at soul skills. Not only because the fourth brother's soul attacks had been affecting him, but also because he was good at soul techniques. His soul sensing ability and soul searching ability were naturally stronger. With the fourth brother's soul attainments, it was very likely that he could sense his existence, which made it much harder for him to attack. But now that the fourth brother was dead, the remaining people, including Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, could not sense his existence. These leaders were like living targets in front of him. Swish! A cold sword light silently appeared behind one of the leaders. From the moment the sword light flew out to the moment it pierced through the leader's divine body, it could not make any noise or sound. The leader did not even have time to react before he was pierced by Jian Wushuang's divine sword and killed on the spot. Then Jian Wushuang disappeared again. No! Bastard! The leaders of the 13 axes cursed in anger, but there was nothing they could do. Jian Wushuang attacked again and again. Chi! One by one, the leaders were killed by Jian Wushuang's sneak attacks. None of them could react in time. In the blink of an eye, only 2 of the 8 leaders were still standing there. These 2 were Blood Eagle and Violent Bear. They were strong, so Jian Wushuang deliberately left them at the back. Bastard! Blood Eagle and Violent Bear's eyes were bloodshot. They had been watching their brothers being killed by Jian Wushuang, but they had no way to stop him. Now, only the 2 of them were left with the 13 axes. Second brother, be careful. If nothing goes wrong, Heavenly Sword Marquis is going to attack you next, Blood Eagle said. I know. Violent Bear nodded, but his face was extremely solemn. His nerves had been tense, and his soul power had been spread out to the greatest extent, sensing the wind and grass around him. Suddenly, a ghost-like figure appeared beside Violent Bear. As soon as it appeared, a cold sword light had already pierced toward Violent Bear's throat. The sword light swept out, but it was still silent and did not cause any movement. Jian Wushuang's movement was too strange and quiet. Even though Violent Bear was in a state of full alert, He did not notice Jian Wushuang's appearance at the first moment. It was when the sword light was attacking him. Although the sword light did not cause any movement, there was a slight sound of the sword cutting through the air. The sound was almost negligible, but Violent Bear, who was nervous, still heard it. Over here. Violent Bear suddenly turned around, and his violent aura was instantly suppressed. He wanted to block Jian Wushuang's fatal sword. But how could it be so fast? Violent Bear's eyes were wide open as he watched the cold longsword pierce through his skin. However, his palm was still 2 feet away from the sword. Chi! The longsword instantly pierced through Violent Bear's throat. The cold blood venom contained in the sword seed also entered Violent Bear's body and crazily eroded his divine body. At this moment 80% of Violent Bear's divine power was directly eroded. However, 20% of his divine power was still preserved. Buzz buzz buzz. A large amount of divine power began to gather, and Violent Bear's divine body wanted to reassemble again. However, Jian Wushuang directly pointed out. One finger void annihilation technique. Boom! A huge space-time storm suddenly took shape. This space-time storm contained extremely terrifying destructive power, annihilating everything in the space where Violent Bear was. Violent Bear's divine body did not have time to reassemble at all. The remaining 20% of his divine power had already been completely annihilated by this space-time storm. An immortal saint, Violent Bear, who was infinitely close to being invincible, also died. Second brother, no. Blood Eagle's eyes turned red as he watched from the side. But everything happened too quickly. It was so fast that he could not stop it at all. Violent Bear had already been killed. After Violent Bear died, he was the only one left alive. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Blood Eagle's voice was as cold as if it came from hell. His eyes were bloodshot, and veins popped on his forehead. Jian Wushuang had just killed his brothers who had lived with him for hundreds of thousands of years. Jian Wushuang had killed 12 of his 13 brothers. How could he not be angry at such a great hatred? Seeing this, Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly and said, "Blood Eagle, don't worry. You will be with your brothers soon." Chapter 3190. Extermination. Jian Wushuang was smiling on the surface, but he was secretly sighing in his heart. As expected of an expert who is infinitely close to the level of an invincible saint. 3 drops of cold blood venom were fused into my blood mountain sword at the same time. But I can't kill him in one strike. Previously, Jian Wushuang could kill the leaders of ordinary peak rank 7 true saints of the 13 axes with one strike. The 3 drops of cold blood poison in the blood mountain sword were enough to erode all the divine power in the opponent's body. However, when he killed Violent Bear just now, he could not kill Violent Bear with just one strike, so he had to use the void annihilation technique again. Now, I only need 1 strike to kill a peak rank 7 true saint, but I need 2 strikes to kill an infinite number of experts close to the invincible saint realm, Jian Wushuang thought. There was no other way. The cold blood poison was the highest level of poison that Jian Wushuang could exchange for in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It was even higher than the cold blood poison. Just 1 drop of it was enough to kill an invincible saint, or even a real invincible saint. There was indeed poison in the treasure pavilion of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, but it was beyond the scope of what Jian Wushuang could exchange for. After all, he was only a heaven-level member in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, and he could only exchange for treasures within the range of heaven-level members. Only Emperor-level members were qualified to exchange for poison that was higher than cold blood. Heavenly Sword Marquis. A shrill, low voice suddenly came out of Blood Eagle's mouth. "If you have the ability, fight me face to face. Don't hide. A fair and square fight." Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. "Fine, I'll grant your wish." As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang immediately moved. As soon as he moved, the endless power of ice and fire crazily pressed toward Blood Eagle. At the same time, he was intimidated by the divine punishment expert and suppressed by the ice and fire realm, so Blood Eagle's strength was suppressed by at least 30%. However, previously, Jian Wushuang and Blood Eagle had a fierce one-on-one fight. At that time, they were evenly matched, and Jian Wushuang even had a slight advantage. In terms of strength, Jian Wushuang was much stronger than Blood Eagle. Blood Eagle's brothers had all died, and the magic formation was useless. In such a situation, he was still suppressed by the realm. How could he be Jian Wushuang's opponent? Bang! 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 3 low collision sounds were heard. Blood Eagle was instantly sent flying, and his body was in a terrible state. Die! Blood Eagle's eyes were bloodshot, and his face was filled with madness. He seemed to have really gone mad, and wanted to charge at Jian Wushuang again. However, on the way, Blood Eagle suddenly swung his hand. Whoosh! The terrifying black light, which contained a thick death aura, shot toward Jian Wushuang again like a meteor. This move again? Jian Wushuang's eyes focused. Blood Eagle had used this move previously, and it was combined with a soul attack. Even so, he had dodged it head-on. Now that Blood Eagle had used this move in front of him, it was even more difficult to pose a threat to him. With a slight sway, Jian Wushuang had already bypassed the black light. Jian Wushuang's face suddenly darkened. He had discovered that after Blood Eagle had thrown the black light at him, he had immediately rushed towards the surrounding void at the fastest speed he had ever used in his life. Obviously, Blood Eagle wanted to escape. I thought he was really crazy and wanted to avenge his brothers, but now it seems that he is not. Blood Eagle Shui-ing is very cunning. Jian Wushuang sneered. Obviously, Blood Eagle was pretending to be crazy. He did not want to fight with Jian Wushuang, because he knew that he could not be Jian Wushuang's opponent alone. Therefore, he had been looking for an opportunity to escape. Now, he had fled to the side while Jian Wushuang was dodging the black light. However, Blood Eagle, can you escape? Jian Wushuang stood in the void and watched Blood Eagle crazily fly around, but he had no intention of stopping or chasing after him. He just watched quietly. Not long after Blood Eagle rushed out, he appeared in front of the huge barrier that Jian Wushuang had set up with the ruler seal. This barrier had completely sealed off the entire Green Flame Mountain. If the barrier did not collapse, no one would be able to escape. Break! Blood Eagle let out an angry roar. He held the giant axe with both hands. An endless power and death aura crazily condensed in the axe. Then, the giant axe suddenly swung out. A terrifying axe shadow struck the barrier in front of him. Boom! It was as if a stone had fallen into a calm scene. Under the attack of the axe shadow, the transparent barrier rippled. However, the surface of the lake quickly regained its calm. The barrier was still intact. It was not shaken at all. What? Blood Eagle's eyes were wide open. Haha, Blood Eagle, don't waste your energy. Even a genuine invincible saint would not be able to break this barrier, let alone you. You have no chance of escaping. You'd better follow your brothers obediently. Jian Wushuang's hearty laughter was heard. With a flash, he appeared beside Blood Eagle. Whoosh! 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 Terrifying sword techniques erupted like a landslide and a tsunami, crazily crushing toward Blood Eagle. Finally, a trace of panic appeared on Blood Eagle's face. While blocking Jian Wushuang's attack, he shouted, "Heavenly Sword Marquis, stop! You've already killed 12 of my brothers, and my 13 axes will no longer exist. Why do you have to kill them all? Kill them all!" Jian Wushuang just sneered. He knew how domineering the 13 axes had been in the Nine Wolf Mountain range for so many years. Many countries, and even some small sects in the Nine Wolf Mountain range, were under the oppression of the 13 axes. Anyone who dared to disobey the orders of the 13 axes would be uprooted by the 13 axes. Just like some small sects, in the hundreds of thousands of years, the 13 axes had killed countless people. When the 13 axes uprooted those sects, how could they not exterminate them? Heavenly Sword Marquis, stop. Spare my life. I can swear that I will never take revenge on you in the future. Although my brothers have some friendship with me, they are them and I am me. If they die, they die, Blood Eagle said again. Oh. Jian Wushuang could not help laughing. Blood Eagle valued his brothers very much at the beginning. When he killed them one by one, Blood Eagle was obviously very angry. He was not pretending to be angry. But now, when it was about his death, he immediately separated himself from his brothers. Chapter 3191. 13 Axes all destroyed. As expected, people are selfish. Jian Wushuang praised in his heart, but the strength in his hands did not weaken at all. Blood Eagle's situation was also becoming more and more dangerous. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'm afraid you don't know that I have a deep relationship with Master Xiaoyao. He gave me a magic array to cultivate. It can be said that I'm extremely important to him. If I die, Master Xiaoyao will definitely be furious. Blood Eagle shouted again. Master Xiaoyao? Jian Wushuang looked strange. He did not know whether Blood Eagle was telling the truth or not, but he did not care. Because Master Xiaoyao, he did not know him, nor had he heard of him. You talk too much nonsense. Jian Wushuang did not give Blood Eagle any chance to live. Sword skills rushed toward him crazily. Under the absolute suppression of the realm, Blood Eagle could no longer block Jian Wushuang's sword skills. No, Heavenly Sword Marquis, if you dare to kill me, Master Xiaoyao will definitely kill you. Absolutely. With a series of shrill roars, Blood Eagle's divine body was finally completely destroyed by Jian Wushuang. Then, with the help of the void subjugation technique, he finally killed Blood Eagle. Since then, the 13 axes, which had occupied the Nine-Wolf Mountain range for hundreds of thousands of years, and was an absolute nightmare for many countries and sects in the surrounding area, were killed by Jian Wushuang alone. All 13 axes were killed. Not a single person was left. Jian Wushuang stood in the void coldly, and waved his hand to take away the interspatial ring left by Blood Eagle and the giant axe. He only glanced at the interspatial ring left behind by Blood Eagle, but his heart was already shocked. As expected of an expert who is infinitely close to the invincible saint. Moreover, the 13 axes have been in the Nine-Wolf Mountain range for so many years, and they have been crazily exploiting the surrounding countries and sections. Over the years, the wealth accumulated by the 13 axes is very shocking, and the wealth in Blood Eagle's hands is an astronomical figure. Jian Wushuang praised. However, even though he was amazed by the wealth, it did not cause him much of a stir. After all, when one's strength reached his level, the holy elixirs were only a number. He simply could not use that many holy elixirs. And when he became stronger in the future, and reached the level of a principal's master, he would not even look at the so-called wealth anymore, because at the level of a principal's master, the holy elixirs were completely useless. For principal's masters, they used divine power to trade with each other. Of course, some special and valuable treasures could also be exchanged for divine power, but unfortunately, Blood Eagle and the others did not have treasures of this level. Before he died, Blood Eagle threatened me with that young Master Xiaoyao, thinking that I would spare his life because I was afraid of him. Unfortunately, I don't even know who this young Master Xiaoyao is. But since he brought him out before he died, I'm afraid that young Master Xiaoyao is not too weak. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly, and the next moment he moved. Green Flame Mountain was the lair of Blood Eagle. Not only did Blood Eagle live here, but there were also many experts under his command, including several rank 7 true saints. These experts had been hiding in the void, watching from afar. They did not dare to get involved in this level of battle. When they saw that Blood Eagle and the leaders of the 13 axes were killed by Jian Wushuang alone, their hearts surged. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was rushing toward them. He's coming toward us. Is Heavenly Sword Marquis going to kill all of us here after killing the leaders? I don't think so. After all, we're not a threat to him. These experts, who were almost at the true saint realm, were very nervous at this moment. They all knew that Jian Wushuang could sweep 13 axes by himself and kill 13 leaders, including Blood Eagle and Violent Bear. So he could kill all of them here alone. Moreover, they did not even have a chance to escape. You come here. Jian Wushuang appeared in front of these people, and pointed at the rank 7 true saint with the strongest aura with his right hand. My lord. The rank 7 true saint walked to Jian Wushuang trembling. He immediately bowed to Jian Wushuang with great respect. Let me ask you, do you know the young Master Xiaoyao that Blood Eagle mentioned before he died? Jian Wushuang asked. Young Master Xiaoyao? The rank 7 true saint was stunned, and then nodded. I do know about young Master Xiaoyao. A few decades ago, an expert came to our door. That expert seemed to be called Gui Yi. He was a very powerful immortal saint, and seemed to be slightly stronger than leader Blood Eagle. This Saint Guiyi was sent by Master Xiaoyao. It seems that leader Blood Eagle comprehended the rule of death, and was qualified to comprehend a special magic array, which was specially prepared by Master Xiaoyao to go to a place called the Blood Wave Realm. Blood Wave Realm? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. The reason why he came to the Nine Wolf Mountain Range and killed 13 axes was also to go to the Blood Wave Realm. As for Master Xiaoyao, what happened after that? Jian Wushuang continued to ask. After that, leader Blood Eagle had been studying the magic array, and it seemed to be very effective. Saint Guiyi even came here twice. In the end, leader Blood Eagle made an agreement with Master Xiaoyao. Master Xiaoyao must have promised some benefits to leader Blood Eagle, and leader Blood Eagle agreed to follow Master Xiaoyao to the Blood Wave Realm when the time came. The rank 7 true saint told him everything he knew. After hearing what the rank 7 true saint said, Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. It seemed that Blood Eagle was telling the truth. He did have some relationship with the carefree young masters, and the fact that the carefree young master took him seriously did not seem to be a lie. Let me ask you again. Do you know about the carefree young master? Jian Wushuang looked down. Sir, we only know his name, and that he comes from a big force. As for other things I don't know. The rank 7 true saint said truthfully. Is that so? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, not surprised. From today on, there will be no more 13 axes in the divine beginning realm. Jian Wushuang glanced at the cultivators in front of him, then moved and teleported away. It was not until Jian Wushuang completely left that the rank 7 true saint, who answered Jian Wushuang's question, and all the cultivators on Green Flame Mountain heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 3192. Shadowless Escape Art in a quiet courtyard on the Space-Time Island. Temple Master Bai Xing. Jian Wushuang appeared directly beside Temple Master Bai Xing and said, I've completed the task. Oh. Temple Master Bai Xing turned his head and looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. You killed all 13 axes? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Can you record the scene of you killing them with the mirror image? Temple Master Bai Xing asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and immediately took out the mirror image tokens. He had prepared these mirror image tokens beforehand and recorded the scene of him fighting with the 13 axes. Only the mirror image could prove that he had completed the task alone. Temple Master Bai Xing immediately began to examine the mirror talismans one by one. The first thing she saw was naturally the image of Jian Wushuang killing the Tranquil Cloud King. In the image, Jian Wushuang and the Tranquil Cloud King had only exchanged 2 blows before killing the Tranquil Cloud King directly. He killed a true saint at the peak of rank 7 very cleanly. Temple Master Bai Xing nodded slightly and continued to watch. Next, she only briefly glanced at the image of Jian Wushuang killing the leaders of the 13 axes, until the last mirror image. This mirror image was the battle on Green Smoke Mountain, when she saw Jian Wushuang and Blood Eagle fighting one-on-one, and they were evenly matched. Temple Master Bai Xing's expression did not change at all. Then the leaders of the 13 axes attacked together, and combined with the magic array. While Jian Wushuang was in a terrible situation, Temple Master Bai Xing was still very indifferent. It was not until Jian Wushuang suddenly unleashed his strange body movement secret skill, and killed the leaders of the 13 axes one by one that Temple Master Bai Xing's pupils suddenly shrank. It's Shadowless Escape skill. I can't even sense it with my soul. Temple Master Bai Xing's voice became a little excited. She looked at Jian Wushuang in shock and asked, Little guy, you have mastered Shadowless Escape skill? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded again. He had spent more than half of his 290 years in the true martial mystic realm. The true martial mystic realm was left behind by many principles masters of the temporal temple. There were many things left behind by these principles masters. Some were left behind casually, but some were left behind by secret arts or secret arts that they were proud of. During this period of time, Jian Wushuang found the Shadowless Escape skill left behind by a rule master named Bloody Blade on one of the icebergs. The Shadowless Escape skill was shadowless and traceless. It was difficult to detect even soul power. Unless the other party's strength was much stronger than his, or had a high level of attainment in soul, he could only use this escape skill. Even if the opponent hid around him, he would not be able to detect it. When Jian Wushuang saw this escape art for the first time, he was also shocked. There was nothing he could do. In Jian Wushuang's eyes, this escape art was too terrifying. The shadowless escape art was created 8 million years ago by the Bloodblade Master, who was known as the strongest assassin of that era. The Bloodblade Master has a good relationship with me. He is a natural assassin and has exceptional talent. He created the shadowless escape art and the Bloodblade sword art. When the two were combined, many principles masters in the divine beginning world were shocked. Especially the shadowless escape art. Until now, this escape art should be one of the most terrifying escape arts in the divine beginning realm. Although the Bloodblade Master left this escape art in the true martial mystic realm, no one has been able to truly comprehend it for so many years. Yet, you have actually comprehended it, and seem to have mastered it to a certain level? Temple Master Bai Xing stared at Jian Wushuang with a strange glint in her eyes. I don't know what's going on, but when I comprehended this escape skill, it didn't seem too difficult. Although I spent a lot of time, I still mastered it, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Temple Master Bai Xing was stunned at first, but when she thought that Jian Wushuang could comprehend the space-time divine skill from the space-time gold stone, she was able to accept it. It was indeed very difficult to comprehend the shadowless escape skill from the iceberg left by the Bloodblade Master in the true martial mystic realm, but it was still inferior to comprehending the space-time divine skill from the space-time gold stone. It's your luck to be able to comprehend the shadowless escape skill. In the future, with this escape skill in hand, even if you meet a strong enemy, you can use this escape skill to fight him. However, since you can comprehend the shadowless escape skill, you can also comprehend the Bloodblade sword skill of the Bloodblade Master. But why did you use the shadowless sword skill left by the Sword Origin Master when you fought with the 13 axes? Temple Master Bai Xing suddenly asked. Well, Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly. I've only stayed on the time-space island for 290 years. It's already good enough for me to comprehend the shadowless escape art. I don't have time to comprehend the more complicated sword art of bloodshed. However, I've been inspired by the silent sword art left behind by Sword Origin Master. I've studied it under the iceberg left behind by Sword Origin Master for quite some time, and I've already comprehended most of it, Jian Wushuang said. That's true. Temple Master Bai Xing nodded. She also remembered that Jian Wushuang had just arrived at the time-space island. Your strength is stronger than Blood Eagle, the strongest of the 13 axes. Now, with the shadowless escape art and the breathless sword art, it's not difficult to kill the 13 axes. Temple Master Bai Xing said. She had seen from the picture that Jian Wushuang used the shadowless escape art to appear behind the leaders of the 13 axes and kill them time and time again. In the end, even the leaders of the 13 axes, Blood Eagle and Violent Bear, were killed by Jian Wushuang. Indeed, all the leaders of the 13 axes were killed by Jian Wushuang alone. You were able to complete the experiential task I gave you and kill the 13 axes alone. This is enough to prove your strength, and it is much more than I expected, especially the shadowless escape art, which gave me a big surprise. With your talent and strength, and with the shadowless escape art, it is enough for you to go to the Blood Wave realm. According to what I've said, the last of the 5 places to enter the Blood Wave realm belongs to you, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Thank you, Temple Master Bai Xing. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed. Well, there are still a few years before the opening of the Blood Wave realm. You should make good preparations during these years. After all, the Blood Wave realm is a huge battlefield. Even an invincible saint will be doomed if he is not careful, Temple Master Bai Xing said. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. Then he looked up and said, Temple Master Bai Xing, speaking of preparation, I'd like to exchange some divine power. Chapter 3193, Carefree Mansion Divine Power? Temple Master Bai Xing glanced at Jian Wushuang and nodded slightly. Divine power contains a part of the power of the will. Immortal saints at the top level can guide this part of the power of the will and increase their strength in a short period of time. After the opening of the Blood Wave realm, nearly 50% of the top immortal saints in the Divine Beginning realm will enter. There must be many people who have divine power in such a large battlefield. The Temporal Temple has also thought of this. So every time the Blood Wave realm opens, the temple will give a drop of divine power to each of the 5 cultivators who enter the Blood Wave realm. This drop of divine power will be given to all of you before you leave for the Blood Wave realm. Only 1 drop per person? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, the top-notch saints who participated in the Blood Wave realm occupied nearly 50% of the entire Divine Beginning realm. So there must be many top-notch immortal saints. There were so many people, and many of them had divine power. Everyone was crazily fighting for opportunities in the Blood Wave realm. In such a huge and dangerous battlefield, the Space-Time Temple only gave each cultivator a drop of divine power, which was obviously not enough. Only 1 drop is because the various forces and sects in the Divine Beginning realm had previously made an agreement. Of course, this agreement is only on the surface, so on the surface, we will only give you 1 drop of divine power. But secretly, you can exchange 1 drop for 10 billion holy elixirs. As long as you have enough holy elixirs, you can exchange as many as you want. Temple Master Bai Xing said with a smile. That's more like it. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. 10 billion holy elixirs could be exchanged for 1 drop of divine power. Jian Wushuang had killed the entire 13 axes by himself. The weakest of the 13 axes was a true saint at the peak of rank 7, and they had occupied the 9 Wolf Mountains for hundreds of thousands of years. The wealth they had accumulated was astonishing. On the way back, Jian Wushuang had carefully calculated that the wealth of all the leaders of the 13 axes added up to about 500 billion holy elixirs. 500 billion holy elixirs was an astronomical figure for many immortal saints. After all, the average true saint at the peak of rank 7 was only worth about 20 billion holy elixirs, and 500 billion holy elixirs could be exchanged for 5 billion divine power. The competition in the Blood Wave realm is very fierce. Although I have good life-saving skills and won't threaten my life, when it comes to opportunities, I can't do it if I'm not strong enough. And this divine power will be very useful at the critical moment, so I have to exchange for more. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He quickly made up his mind. Temple Master Bai Xing, I want to exchange for 9 drops of divine power. 9 drops. Temple Master Bai Xing's expression changed. He smiled and said, It seems that you've made quite a fortune by killing the 13 axes. 9 drops of divine power. Just give me 90 billion holy elixirs. Jian Wushuang also took out an interspatial ring. There were a lot of holy elixirs and treasures in the interspatial ring, which was definitely worth more than 90 billion holy elixirs. Temple Master Bai Xing took it, scanned it with his consciousness, and nodded slightly. Then he waved his hand and handed a jade bottle to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang opened the jade bottle and immediately saw the 9 drops of golden water in the bottle. They were clearly water drops, but they were not compatible with each other. Instead, they were completely separated. Jian Wushuang could feel an extremely terrifying power from each drop of golden water. That power was supreme. Is that the power of the will of the Principal's Masters? Jian Wushuang secretly praised. The divine power only contained a trace of the will of the Principal's Masters. But even so, it still made Jian Wushuang feel extremely terrifying. If the Principal's Masters used all of their will, how powerful would it be? Jian Wushuang really could not believe it. When I was in the Mountain Thunder Fort, the 3 Principal's Masters attacked me directly. I was too weak at that time, so I could not feel how strong they were. I only felt that my divine body could not withstand a single attack from them. Now it seems that it's not just a single attack. As a Principal's Master, if I use a bit of the power of my will, my divine body should be able to collapse easily, Jian Wushuang thought. Now that you've exchanged for 9 drops of divine power, I'll give each of you another drop of divine power, when you leave for the Blood Wave realm. You'll have 10 drops of divine power, which should be enough for you to squander in the Blood Wave realm, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang also nodded slightly. Oh, there's one more thing, Jian Wushuang said again. Temple Master Bai Xing. When I killed the boss of 13 Axes Blood Eagle, at the last moment, Blood Eagle used a young Master Xiaorao to threaten me. After that, I asked the experts under Blood Eagle, and confirmed that he had a deep relationship with young Master Xiaoyao. Temple Master Bai Xing. Do you know who this young Master Xiaoyao is? If he killed Blood Eagle, he might have offended Master Xiaoyao. In other words, Jian Wushuang already had a potential enemy, and this potential enemy would also go to the Blood Wave realm. Therefore, Jian Wushuang naturally wanted to find out the identity of the other party first, so that he could have a good background. Master Xiaoyao. Temple Master Bai Xing could not help but sneer. If you ask me about the powerful principles masters in the divine beginning realm, I know about them. But if you ask me about some immortal saints in the divine beginning realm, I don't have time to worry about these little saints. Jian Wushuang was stunned, and could not help laughing bitterly in his heart. Indeed, Palace Master Bai Xing was the Deputy Palace Master of the Temporal Temple. Before that Temporal Palace Master had returned from the cosmic battlefield, she was in charge of the entire Temporal Temple. With such high power and status, how could she pay attention to the immortal saints in the divine beginning realm? She would only pay attention to them if they were truly heaven-defying and shocked countless principles masters. However, young Master Xiaorao obviously did not reach this level. Since you've offended young Master Xiaoyao, I can help you ask him, Temple Master Bai Xing said, then took out a token and asked. Thank you, Temple Master Bai Xing. Jian Wushuang waited respectfully. After a short while, Temple Master Bai Xing took back the token. I have figured it out. The Master Xiaoyao you mentioned is from Xiaorao Mansion. He is the personal disciple of Marquis Xiaoyao, and the #1 genius in Xiaorao Mansion. That's why he is called Master Xiaoyao, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Chapter 3194. Unwilling Duan Lang Carefree Mansion? Jian Wushuang frowned. Carefree Mansion is the overlord of the second heaven. It's one of the most powerful sects in the second heaven. There are more than a dozen principles masters. It's considered a top force even in the entire divine beginning realm, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Overlord of the second heaven? I remember that the Supreme Emotion Valley is also an overlord of the second heaven. I wonder which is stronger, Carefree Mansion or the Supreme Emotion Valley? Jian Wushuang asked. In terms of foundation, the Supreme Emotion Valley is deeper. However, in terms of overall strength in this era, Carefree Mansion should be stronger than the Supreme Emotion Valley, Temple Master Bai Xing replied. However, the Supreme Emotion Valley has an extremely special divine skill, and there is also an Old Valley Master who has cultivated this divine skill. That Old Valley Master is very difficult to deal with. If he really goes crazy, even in our temporal temple, only the Temple Master can suppress him. Therefore, because of this Old Valley Master, the Supreme Emotion Valley is more terrifying than the Carefree Mansion in many people's eyes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He had heard of the Old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion Valley. It was said that even the 3 Saint Realms did not want to provoke the Supreme Emotion Valley, which showed how terrifying the Old Valley Master was. Master Xiaoyao of the Carefree Mansion should also go to the Blood Wave realm. You might meet him there, but with your current strength, you should be able to deal with him. As for the Carefree Mansion behind him, you don't have to care about it. It may be powerful in the eyes of others, but it's nothing in front of the Temporal Temple, Temple Master Bai Xing said directly. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Indeed, no matter how strong Xiaorao Mansion was, it was only an overlord in the second heaven. If it was in the third heaven, it would probably be inferior to the 4 divine clans and the 8 directions celestial sect. However, the Temporal Temple, it was one of the 3 freedom alliances in the divine beginning realm, and it had many experts and was extremely united. Compared to a behemoth like the Temporal Temple, the Xiaorao Mansion was indeed nothing. In terms of background, Jian Wushuang was obviously more powerful than Master Xiaoyao. I understand. In that case, I'll go and make preparations. After saying this, Jian Wushuang turned around and left. After Jian Wushuang left, Temple Master Bai Xing immediately gave an order to give Jian Wushuang the last spot to enter the Bloodwave realm. In the northern area of the huge space-time island, there was a huge building complex. This building complex was where many experts of the Temporal Temple lived, and it was located in one of the exquisite mansion's secret skills. Buzz buzz buzz. A large amount of dim light gathered together, and an extremely majestic destructive aura filled the entire secret room. In the center of the secret room, a purple-haired youth sat cross-legged. Suddenly his eyes opened, and a flash of light instantly burst out. This bright light was like lightning, piercing through the void. It's done. Before the Bloodwave realm opened, I finally cultivated that secret technique to the great success stage. Haha, the heavens are really helping me. The purple-haired young man let out an ecstatic laugh that reverberated in the secret chamber. However, because the secret chamber was surrounded by magic arrays, the voice did not spread out. After a long while, the purple-haired young man seemed to have calmed down slightly. He was still sitting upright, but his hands were tightly clenched. This secret technique is powerful, but it is extremely difficult. I originally thought that unless I broke through to become a principal's master, it would be impossible for me to cultivate it to great success. However, it seems that I have still underestimated myself. Now that I've mastered this secret technique, my strength has skyrocketed. I'm afraid that I can face a true invincible saint head-on. Among the 5 people from the Space-Time Temple, who are heading to the Bloodwave realm this time, Di Hao is the most terrifying and the best among the invincible saints. Right now I'm not qualified to challenge him. However, although Qian Hongzi is also an invincible saint, I'm not much weaker than him now. As for the remaining 2, they haven't become invincible saints yet. Although they were slightly stronger than me before, now that I've mastered this secret technique, they're definitely not my match. In other words, my strength is no longer at the bottom of the 5. The purple-haired young man was still extremely excited. Right at this moment, Duan Lang, a voice suddenly sounded out. The purple-haired young man's expression changed, and he immediately stood up and walked out. In the void outside the estate, a black-clothed old man stood there calmly. Lord Hunyuan, the purple-haired young man, which was Duan Lang, respectfully bowed to the black-clothed old man. Duan Lang, I've come this time with an order that Palace Master White Star has just issued regarding the Bloodwave realm, the black-clothed old man said. Regarding the Bloodwave realm? Have the 5 spots been given? Duan Lang smiled. The black-robed elder's expression was very cold. As usual, there are still 5 people from our temporal temple who have entered the Bloodwave realm this time. But what? Duan Lang looked over. You're not among the 5 spots, the black-robed elder said. What? Duan Lang's expression immediately changed. Lord Hunyuan, you're joking, right? Among the top immortal saints of our space-time temple, there are only 5 who have enough potential and strength to head to the Bloodwave world. I should be one of them. I'm not joking with you. You're indeed not one of the 5 spots. This is the list given by Hall Master Bai Xing himself. Take a look for yourself. The black-clothed elder waved his hand and took out a list. Duan Lang immediately took it and began to read it. There were 5 names on the name list. Duan Lang was very familiar with the first 4 names and was not surprised. But the last name, Heavenly Sword Marquis? Heavenly Sword Marquis? Duan Lang widened his eyes. Hall Master Bai Xing actually gave the spot that belongs to me to this Heavenly Sword Marquis? How can this be? Duan Lang immediately roared. I refuse to accept this. Heavenly Sword Marquis was able to kill a rank 7 true saint in front of a rank 4 true saint. I admire his talent and potential, and am ashamed to admit that I'm inferior to him. However, just his talent and potential are far from enough to enter the Bloodwave realm. He also needs absolute strength. Heavenly Sword Marquis doesn't have such strength. How can he enter the Bloodwave realm? Duan Lang, are you doubting Palace Master Bai Xing? The black-clothed old man coldly glanced at Duan Lang. No, I don't dare. Duan Lang immediately shook his head, but his gaze still turned scarlet. But this matter, Palace Master Bai Xing has indeed done unfairly. Chapter 3195. Challenge Palace Master Bai Xing is unfair? You really dare to say it? The black-robed old man revealed a half-smile. Duan Lang's body trembled. Although he still gritted his teeth, he did not dare to continue. Palace Master Bai Xing's status in the Temporal Temple was only below that Palace Master. It could be said that in the entire Divine Beginning realm, Palace Master Bai Xing was one of the few people who stood at the peak. How could a little saint like him say such a supreme existence? Fortunately, Palace Master Bai Xing did not hear this. Otherwise, Duan Lang, listen. Palace Master Bai Xing has always done things fairly. Before he gave this spot to Heavenly Sword Marquis, he specially arranged a training mission for Heavenly Sword Marquis. That training mission is extraordinary. It can be said to be extremely harsh. Even an ordinary invincible saint might not be able to complete it. But Heavenly Sword Marquis did, said the black-clothed old man. What he said was the truth. Temple Master Bai Xing had arranged for him to kill all 13 axes. 1 or 2 of the 13 axes might look easy to kill, but to kill all 13 of them, the 13 axes had a monster-slaughtering formation. In a head-on fight, even the invincible saint would be defeated. Jian Wushuang was able to kill all 13 axes because he had mastered the shadowless escape art. If it were anyone else, Duan Lang would not have been able to kill all 13 axes. Let me put it this way. Since Temple Master Bai Xing gave the quota to Heavenly Sword Marquis, and did not give it to you, he must think that Heavenly Sword Marquis is stronger than you, the black-clothed elder added. Impossible, Duan Lang immediately shouted. 300 years ago, Heavenly Sword Marquis was only a rank 4 true saint. He could only kill a rank 7 early-stage true saint with average strength. Now, only 300 years have passed. Even if his strength has improved greatly, he is only slightly stronger than an ordinary peak rank 7 true saint. Compared to those experts who are close to invincible true saint, he is definitely much weaker. How can he compare to me? I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe that his strength has already surpassed mine. I refuse to accept it. The black-clothed elder frowned slightly. Lord Hunyuan, I wish to seek an audience with Hall Master White Star. Or, I would like you to pass a message to Hall Master White Star, saying that I want to challenge Heavenly Sword Marquis. I want to defeat him in front of everyone. And if Heavenly Sword Marquis really has the strength, as long as he can defeat me, then I will naturally accept it wholeheartedly, Duan Lang said in a deep voice. Challenge? The black-clothed elder raised his eyebrows, and a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Sure, I'll send a message to Hall Master Bai Xing right now. Thank you, Lord Hunyuan, Duan Lang said immediately. The black-clothed elder immediately sent a message to Hall Master Bai Xing, and the result was quickly obtained. Duan Lang, Hall Master Bai Xing already guessed that you might be unconvinced. She wanted me to tell you that you want to challenge Heavenly Sword Marquis. This is fine. As long as Heavenly Sword Marquis agrees, you can naturally fight. However, since her order has already been given, it will not be changed. In other words, Heavenly Sword Marquis will still be on the list of 5 people who will enter the Bloodwave realm. Do you understand this? The black-clothed elder looked at Duan Lang. Is there no way to change it? Duan Lang clenched his hands tightly. His fingertips had already pinched into his flesh. All right. Even if I can't enter the Bloodwave realm, I will fight for this honor for myself. Alright, wait here. I will inform you when the Heavenly Sword Marquis agrees. The black-clothed old man said this before turning around and leaving. Sword Marquis. Duan Lang's eyes were filled with an unprecedented fierce light. In the courtyard where Jian Wushuang lived. Challenge? Duan Lang wants to challenge me? Jian Wushuang's expression immediately became strange when he received the news. However, after thinking for a moment, he could understand. Because if he did not appear, the spot would belong to Duan Lang. Duan Lang even thought that he was almost certain, but because of his appearance, he snatched the spot for Duan Lang to enter the Bloodwave realm. How could Duan Lang be satisfied? Temple Master Bai Xing has given the order and will not change it. This spot is definitely yours, so you don't have to accept the challenge. There's no need to pay attention to Duan Lang. The black-clothed elder stood in front of Jian Wushuang and smiled. But Temple Master Bai Xing wants you to fight and defeat Duan Lang head-on. That would be better. Yes, I know. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He understood Temple Master Bai Xing's intention. After all, the quota to enter the Blood Wave world was decided by Temple Master Bai Xing alone. If he did not show his strength or refuse Duan Lang's challenge, many people might think that he was not strong enough. This would also affect Temple Master Bai Xing, and make people feel that Temple Master Bai Xing was unfair. Therefore, he had to directly defeat Duan Lang with his strength. Only then could he shut everyone's mouth and make them be convinced. Just like when Jian Wushuang got the quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, the genius disciples of the three palaces were also unconvinced. Moreover, when Jian Wushuang appeared on the heaven-cleaving star, the most dazzling genius immediately came to challenge him. However, after Jian Wushuang defeated that genius cleanly, no one dared to say another word. In this world, strength was the only way to speak. If you did not show your strength, no one would take you seriously. However, as long as you showed your strength, and your fists were very hard, it would naturally be frightening. No one dared to doubt it. Please tell Duan Lang that I agree to fight with him, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Good. The black-robed elder nodded and left. Soon, the news of the fight between Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang spread throughout the time-space island. A slender white-robed youth sat quietly under the giant time-space beast god with his eyes closed. This white-robed youth carried a blood-colored battle saber on his back. It was as though his entire being had become one with the surrounding space-time. And at this moment a human figure suddenly swept over from the void beside him. The person who arrived was a beautiful red-haired girl with a bit of mischievousness. Qian Hongzi, I heard that you've already returned to the temporal island. I guess that you're here. The red-haired mischievous girl came to the side of the white-robed youth. Flying snow, is something the matter? The white-robed young man still had his eyes closed. Of course, there's something the matter. I'm afraid that you still don't know that Duan Lang is about to have a head-on battle with Heavenly Sword Marquis. The red-haired mischievous girl said. Heavenly Sword Marquis? The white-robed young man's expression moved, and his eyes slightly opened. Is that the Heavenly Sword Marquis who used a 4th-level true saint to kill a 7th-level true saint? Yes, that's him. He also came to the time-space island 300 years ago, the red-haired girl said. Chapter 3196. Bai Xing asks about crimes. I've seen the mirror image of Jian Wushuang fighting with someone. He killed a rank 7 true saint with the strength of a rank 4 true saint. No one can surpass him. But how could he fight Duan Lang? The white-robed young man asked in confusion. It's like this. The red-haired girl told him what had happened. The white-robed young man was surprised. Temple Master Bai Xing gave him the quota to enter the Blood Wave realm? Yes, and the order has been made public. Temple Master Bai Xing gave the order himself. No one can change it except for the elusive temporal temple master, the red-haired girl said. That's not strange. In the opening of the Blood Wave realm this time, Duan Lang should be one of the 5 spots in our temporal temple. However, now that this spot has been given to the Heavenly Sword Marquis, how could Duan Lang be willing to accept it? It's normal for him to want to challenge the Heavenly Sword Marquis. The white-robed young man nodded slightly, then a smile appeared on his face. The Heavenly Sword Marquis is so talented that he might be even more talented than you and me. I'm a little curious about his battle with Duan Lang. Come, let's go and take a look. Okay. The red-dressed girl immediately agreed. He came here to find this white-robed man. In the center of the space-time island, there was a huge drill ground. This drill ground was not only vast, but there was also a vast space-time in the center. This space-time was where the cultivators of the space-time divine hall usually sparred. Now the drill ground was quite lively. Many experts of the temporal temple had come here. There are quite a lot of people. There are more than a dozen principals masters. The white-robed young man, Qian Hongzi, and the red-clothed girl Fei Xue. came to the drill ground together and looked around. There were more than 20 people on the drill ground, and there were more than a dozen principals masters. In fact, these principals masters stayed on the time-space island all year round, and had nothing to do. They only came to watch the fight when they knew there were two little guys. Of course, most of them were here for Jian Wushuang. After all, Jian Wushuang's battle record of killing a 7th-ranked true saint in the 4th true realm had shocked these principals masters. By the way, why aren't Di Hao and Yu Yu here? Qian Hongzi asked. There were many top-level immortal saints in the temporal temple, but most of them were very old and had passed their era. Therefore, they were not qualified to enter the Bloodwave realm. In this era, there were 5 people in the temporal temple who were qualified and had the potential to enter the Bloodwave realm, excluding Jian Wushuang. Besides Qian Hongzi, Fei Xue and Duan Lang, there were 2 other people, Di Hao and Yu Yu. Yu Yu is still adventuring in the outside world and hasn't come back yet. I sent him a message, and he said that he will return to the space-time island in 3 years, Fei Xue said. As for Di Hao, this cultivation madman only cares about himself. He only focuses on cultivation and doesn't care about anything else. Although he has returned to the space-time island, he entered the space-time tower as soon as he came back. He didn't respond to my message. These 2 guys, Qian Hongzi smiled bitterly. At this moment, 2 figures appeared in the vast space in the center of the drill ground under everyone's gaze. These 2 people were naturally Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang. Is he Heavenly Sword Marquis? Qian Hongzi stared at Jian Wushuang with interest, then casually said, Fei Xue, who do you think will win the battle between Heavenly Sword Marquis and Duan Lang? I don't know, but in my opinion, Duan Lang has a good chance of winning. Fei Xue said, Duan Lang has long surpassed the rank 7 true saint realm, and his talent is very high. His strength is very close to yours and mine, and he hasn't fought with us for many years. Maybe his strength has improved a lot. Even I'm not sure if I can win against him. As for that Heavenly Sword Marquis, 300 years ago, he was only able to kill a primary rank 7 true saint. Now 300 years later, if he wants to be compared to Duan Lang, I feel that he is slightly inferior. What you said is right, but don't forget one thing. Giving the spot to Heavenly Sword Marquis was an order personally given by Hall Master, by Xing Hall Master, by Xing's character, has long been decided in the Temporal Temple. She is one-sided and will never favor anyone. And since she gave the spot to Heavenly Sword Marquis, it means that in her heart, Heavenly Sword Marquis is more suitable to head to the Blood Wave realm than Duan Lang. And in terms of strength, that Heavenly Sword Marquis might have already surpassed Duan Lang. Qian Hongzi said, Surpass Duan Lang? That's impossible, right? Fei Xue could not believe it. Just watch. Qian Hongzi smiled faintly. Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang faced each other from a distance in the vast space. Jian Wushuang looked calm, but Duan Lang clenched his hands and looked at Jian Wushuang with a cold gaze. Duan Lang. A cold voice suddenly sounded. The people around the drill ground immediately looked at the noble figure in the void. Temple Master Bai Xing. Duan Lang immediately bowed respectfully. It was my personal order to give the quota to Heavenly Sword Marquis. How dare you question me? Temple Master Bai Xing looked down at Duan Lang. Duan Lang immediately became nervous. He did not expect Temple Master Bai Xing to directly question him before the battle with Jian Wushuang began. Temple Master Bai Xing, Duan Lang said respectfully, I don't dare to question your name. I'm just absolutely confident in my own strength. I'm sure that my strength is definitely above that of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Oh! The beautiful eyes of Palace Master Bai Xing lifted. Following that, he coldly said, This battle can determine the strength of the 2 of you. If it is really as you say, and you defeat Heavenly Sword Marquis, and win this great battle, then I guarantee that I will let you enter the Blood Wave realm. What? Duan Lang was stunned at first, but soon after, he became ecstatic. The expressions of the people around the drill ground became strange. What's going on? Palace Master Bai Xing's orders have already been given out, so there shouldn't be any changes. Even if Duan Lang really defeated Heavenly Sword Marquis, those 5 spots shouldn't be changed to his name, right? Fei Xue was filled with doubt. Are you stupid? Qian Hongzi sneered. Who said that the temporal temple only has 5 spots? If Palace Master Bai Xing is willing, not to mention 1 spot, even if there are 2 or 3 more spots, it wouldn't be a problem. Fei Xue was stunned for a moment before coming to a realization. That's right. I forgot that every time we enter the Blood Wave realm, the 5 spots are only given to the temporal temple by the various powers in the outside world. It isn't something that the temporal temple fought for. Chapter 3197. Jian Wushuang and Duanlang Fei Xue also understood. The temporal temple had never taken the initiative to fight for a spot in the Blood Wave world. Because there were not many cultivators in the temporal temple, there were only a few top immortal saints in each era who had the potential and strength to fight for the opportunity in the Blood Wave realm. Usually there were 5 spots, it was enough, so there was no need for the temporal temple to fight for it. But do not forget, the first-class big forces in the Divine Beginning realm had more than 5 spots each time they entered the Blood Wave realm. Take the Carefree Mansion for example. The Carefree Mansion was only the overlord of the second heaven. It could not compare to the 4 big divine sects and the 8 directions celestial sect in the third sky, let alone the 3 holy regions. But every time the Carefree Mansion entered the Blood Wave realm, more than 5. Even a Carefree Mansion, one of the 3 major Freedom Alliance temporal temple, even if there are 10 or 20 places are not too many. If Duanlang could defeat Jian Wushuang, Temple Master Bai Xing would be able to help him get a spot. It would be easy for him to get a spot. Don't be happy too early. Temple Master Bai Xing looked down at Duanlang and said coldly, if you defeat Heavenly Sword Marquis, I will naturally help you get a spot. But if you lose to Jian Wushuang, then you will be punished by me. Do you accept it? Punished? Duanlang's face changed. He also understood that Temple Master Bai Xing's status was not something he could question. Now that he had questioned him unless he could prove that he was stronger than Jian Wushuang, he had to accept the punishment. I accept. Duanlang nodded. He was confident in his strength, and did not think that he would be defeated by Jian Wushuang. Well, in this spacetime, you two can fight. Remember, if either side's divine body collapses, they will lose, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Jian Wushuang and Duanlang nodded heavily. In this spacetime, Duanlang stared at Jian Wushuang with a hint of hostility in his eyes. Heavenly Sword Marquis, even I admire your ability to jump levels. Unfortunately, you need absolute strength to travel in the Blood Wave realm. Are you strong enough? You'll know if I'm strong enough, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. Don't talk so much nonsense. Just attack. If you're really capable, defeat me directly. Otherwise you, an immortal saint, might not be able to bear the punishment of Temple Master Bai Xing. Hearing the word punishment, Duanlang's heart trembled, but soon his eyes became firm. If you want to avoid the punishment of Temple Master Bai Xing, you just have to defeat him. Duanlang murmured. With a flip of his hand, a purple spear appeared in his hand. It was extremely cold and powerful. Although it had not reached the level of a supreme treasure, it was definitely a top-tier holy treasure. It was definitely not lower than Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain Sword. Jian Wushuang had also taken out his Blood Mountain Sword. Heavenly Sword Marquis, be careful. As soon as Duanlang finished his words, he dashed forward. The distance between them was instantly crossed by Duanlang. Star Illusionary Spear. With a shout, the demonic purple spear in Duanlang's hand pierced through the void and stabbed toward Jian Wushuang. The tip of the spear flickered with purple demonic light like purple stars, illuminating the void. This speed, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He waved the Blood Mountain Sword in his hand and immediately met the spear head-on. Clang, 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 clang. The sound of metal colliding rang out in the space-time. In a short moment, Jian Wushuang and Duanlang had exchanged dozens of head-on blows. Whether it was their body speed, their sword and spear strikes were both extremely fast. This was normal. After all, both of them had comprehended the space-time principles, and their comprehension level was very high. The space-time principles were best at speed. Suddenly, Duan Lang raised his hands and the spear in his hands turned into a smash. A violent and scorching power condensed in his spear. The body of the spear was like a flood dragon, and it was thrown directly at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang held his sword to block it. As soon as he made contact with the body of the spear, Duan Lang suddenly put away the spear, and then sent it away. This move seemed simple, but it was the most flexible use of spear techniques. A trace of surprise flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes, and he immediately retreated. So powerful. Jian Wushuang stood in the void at the edge, staring at Duan Lang with a burning gaze. Although he had just fought with Duan Lang, and neither of them had shown their true strength, the spear technique Duan Lang displayed in such a short exchange had already shocked Jian Wushuang. Duan Lang's spear technique was even more exquisite than his swordsmanship, and his comprehension of the space-time principles seemed to be better than his. In the continuous collisions just now, they seemed to be evenly matched. However, in fact, Jian Wushuang knew that he was at a disadvantage because his sword speed was slightly slower than Duan Lang's spear speed. Although it was only slightly slower, it was still a gap. Heavenly Sword Marquis, is that all you have? Duan Lang held the spear in one hand and stared at Jian Wushuang with an extremely cold gaze. Haha, interesting. Jian Wushuang's lips curled into a smile. Then, a large amount of golden divine power condensed behind him. In the blink of an eye, the 90,000-meter tall punishment divine realm expert was formed. His icy golden eyes. He looked down at Duan Lang with a soul-stirring ability. Duan Lang narrowed his eyes, but his expression did not change at all. Again. Jian Wushuang rushed forward again. Humph. Duan Lang snorted coldly. His figure was like a ghost, and in an instant, the purple stars once again chilled the void. Clang! Clang! After 2 consecutive exchanges, Duan Lang immediately sensed that Jian Wushuang was different from before. His strength is stronger, and his speed is a little faster. He is indeed a little stronger than before. But that's not enough. Duan Lang's low voice echoed throughout the world. Then his spear skill finally exploded. Whoosh! 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 Purple light burst out like purple electric snakes. His speed was at least 30% faster than when he fought with Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang fought with him, he felt that Duan Lang's spear speed was slightly faster than his sword speed. On this basis, Duan Lang's spear attack speed was 30% faster. Chapter 3198. Shocking. Too fast, too fast. Jian Wushuang frowned. He did not expect that even though he had improved his speed and power, he was still much slower than Duan Lang. The evil spear kept stabbing at him like a purple star. It lit up the entire void and enveloped him completely. Jian Wushuang could only try his best to swing his blood mountain sword to block it, but it was very difficult to block it. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang was at an absolute disadvantage on the battlefield. He was even completely suppressed by Duan Lang. This scene was witnessed by the surrounding people. Qian Hongzi, didn't you say that Heavenly Sword Marquis should be stronger than Duan Lang? But now it seems that Heavenly Sword Marquis' strength is only SSO, said Fei Xue, the cheeky woman in red. His swordsmanship is indeed good, and his comprehension of space-time principles is relatively high. His divine power is not weak, but his overall strength is just at the level of a peak saint. Among peak saints, he is only at the middle level, or even above the middle level. Duan Lang is definitely at the top among peak saints. A true saint could be called a peak true saint after reaching the 7th rank. However, above the peak of the 7th rank, there was the invincible saint, who was infinitely close to the level of the invincible saint. The invincible saint was naturally called the invincible saint. And above the peak of the 7th rank, close to the level of the invincible saint, this was called the peak saint by most people. 13 Axes Blood Eagle, Violent Bear, and Duan Lang were all at the peak saint realm. Jian Wushuang's strength was also at the peak saint realm, but it was only in the middle of the peak saint realm. However, Duan Lang had been at this level for many years, and was very strong. He was very strong among the peak saints. Don't worry. I always feel that the strength of Heavenly Sword Marquis is not as simple as it seems. Look at Temple Master Bai Xing. He saw that Heavenly Sword Marquis was completely suppressed by Duan Lang. But his expression did not change. This shows that Temple Master Bai Xing has great confidence in Heavenly Sword Marquis. He just hasn't used all of his strength yet, Qian Hongzi said. Is that so? Fei Xue frowned. On the battlefield, Jian Wushuang had been completely suppressed by Duan Lang. His figure was also forced into a sorry state. Most importantly, the long spear kept stabbing at him. Jian Wushuang could barely resist it for a short time. But as time went on, I can't resist it anymore. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He had already seen the purple demonic spear pass through the gap between the Blood Mountain sword and his body, with a purple demonic light. The cold tip of the spear directly stabbed at his chest. At such a critical moment, Jian Wushuang's reaction was not slow. He quickly moved his divine body. Although it was extremely difficult, he still managed to move it a little. The cold tip of the spear did not pierce Jian Wushuang's chest, but it pierced his shoulder. Qi. A terrifying strangling power instantly burst out. Jian Wushuang's right arm under the protective armor directly twisted and exploded, and his body also suddenly retreated. Not only is his speed fast, but his power is also so strong. If I hadn't avoided his vital parts, my divine body would have collapsed. Jian Wushuang stopped in the void. Looking at his exploded arm, he sighed in his heart. In the void outside the battlefield, Temple Master Bai Xing frowned slightly and said in a low voice, Heavenly Sword Marquis, are you trying to make me lose face? Jian Wushuang was stunned, but he shrugged his shoulders resentfully. Indeed, it was not a big deal to him, even if he lost this battle. After all, he still had a spot to enter the Blood Wave realm. However, this spot was set by Temple Master Bai Xing. If he lost to Duan Lang so easily, he would certainly lose face for Temple Master Bai Xing. I'm not playing with you anymore. Jian Wushuang glanced at Duan Lang. Then his body swayed slightly. Buzz! Without any warning, Jian Wushuang disappeared from the battlefield. Huh? What happened? Where is he? Fei Xue widened her eyes and looked at the center of the battlefield. However, no matter how hard she searched, she could not find any trace of Jian Wushuang. He disappeared. Where did he go? Qian Hongzi also frowned. Fei Xue and Qian Hongzi. One of them was also a powerful saint at the peak, and the other was a genuine invincible saint. However, at this moment, both of them were at a loss. They did not know where Jian Wushuang had gone. The expressions of the 10 principles masters around them became very interesting. Escape art? And the escape art seems to be very impressive. When he hid, ordinary saints at the peak, or even invincible saints could not find him. It's the shadowless evasive technique. The Bloodblade Master's shadowless evasive technique. Bloodblade Master? The #1 assassin from 8 million years ago? Heavens, this kid actually grasped the Bloodblade Master's shadowless evasive technique. Those principles masters were all shocked. Some principles masters even directly let out exclamations. There was nothing they could do. The Bloodblade Master was an extremely terrifying existence from 8 million years ago. The shadowless evasion technique he created was shadowless and traceless. Even the principles masters could not catch a trace of it. Together with the Bloodblade sword technique he created, if he were to assassinate an ordinary principles master, he would be killed without any ability to react. In that era, the Bloodblade Master was publicly recognized as the #1 assassin. His assassination ability was incomparable. The main reason for this was his shadowless escape technique. But now, a little guy at the level of a saint actually grasped this escape technique? The shadowless escape technique created by the Bloodblade Master is definitely one of the most terrifying escape techniques in the divine beginning realm. This kid can actually comprehend it. Amazing! With the shadowless escape technique in hand, Duan Lang is in big trouble. These principles masters all secretly sigh. And in the middle of the battlefield, that wave is now also a tight brow. He also heard the exclamations and discussions of the principles masters around the battlefield. And at this moment, he had also spread his soul power to the greatest extent. But the result, whether it was with the naked eye, or a soul search, he could not find any trace of Jian Wushuang. It was as if Jian Wushuang had really disappeared. or left the battlefield. However, the 90,000-meter-tall Golden Emperor Phantom was still there. It was impossible for Jian Wushuang to have left. Of course, he was still on the battlefield, but he could not sense it. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.